How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of No Excuses on YouTube.com with your favorite show hosts, Aristil.
Venorian.
And Volcel, and we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week that was, although we've all had kind of a week, so we didn't do a great deal ourselves, but
That's
while
okay.
it
Neither did the industry.
while it doesn't sound like it, I'm still trying to control my lungs to keep them from escaping from my body and venturing out on their own. I'm just constantly ingesting cough drops during the show in order to try and suppress the coughing to a minimum. But yeah, it's still an ongoing thing, and from what I could tell browsing the New Zealand Reddits, it seems to be going around in New Zealand that there's lots of people, they get the coof, and then they get this other thing that gives them a cough that drags on for weeks afterwards, probably exploiting the sort of damage that a flu does to your lungs while you've got it in order to get stuck there. And it seems to just be the people here and there are getting it. But it seems to only strike people who also had the coof or who had the coof vaccine. So,
Weird.
yeah.
All right.
Hmm.
Alright. So, did you do the shtick? I forget if
No, I
you did the
didn't
shtick.
do
Do the shtick.
Okay. I'll do the shtick. If you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord server, and you can get to the Discord server by clicking on the link which should be provided in the show description underneath the show archive on YouTube.
Yes. So, on the stream today, I'm playing something nauseatingly cute, which is HoloCure, the HoloLive fan game, I guess you could call it, of Vampire Survivors.
And
It's been
improvement
all-
of Vampire Survivors.
Well,
Yeah, it's also get the special attack upgrade from the shop before you pull anything from the gachas, Fern.
The fact that there is gacha in this is interesting. So I haven't touched this game at all, and I don't know anything about HoloLive really, aside from like Shawkbrain.
Well, you've
But-
got the sort of the radiation given off by Ari and myself.
Yes, and it's kind of infectious, and I don't want to get too deep into it because, yeah, that's a pit.
That it is actually referred to by the community as the rabbit hole.
Yeah. All right, so we got Moro Calliope. I know Moro Calliope. I know Gura, and I know of Watson. The other two, I don't know.
Watson is... You don't need to know that much about Watson. She's a meme machine that ground pounds moms. That's about all she's good for.
So I guess I'll go with Gura. But yeah, I've played a good amount of Vampire Survivors because it's like the game's like $3. Super duper cheap. And
And it doesn't take very long to play either.
No, each game round is capped at half an hour, so you reach half an hour and you win by
Well,
dying.
then the Grim Reaper comes and kills you.
Yeah, there's an achievement actually for lasting 31 minutes. I have no idea how you get that yet.
Stack
Okay.
tons of DR.
So run, that's strafe. Okay, poke. All right. So like Vampire Survivors, then you're basically constantly auto-attacking. Then you don't turn off attack because there's absolutely no point in turning off attack. Swish. So yeah, it's a very simple game concept. It's basically you are a bullet hell, and there are
Yeah.
bajillions of enemies. Do the thing. That statue looks like it should be a meme, and I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, it's a Yagu statue.
It's Yago.
Yago is the dude who founded and owns Hololive.
Ah,
Also known as Best Girl.
yeah, right.
Yes, dubbed Best Girl by Polka when she first debuted.
So yeah, Vampire Survivors looks like it's basically knocked out in an afternoon, and you get a weapon, you upgrade your weapons. There's also passive items you can pick up, but everything is just firing constantly and creating big old balls of death. This game looks a little bit more sophisticated than that, because
Yeah.
characters actually have unique weapons and things.
And they have more than unique weapons. They have unique skills. They have unique passives. They have unique priorities and special effects that are granted to them by weapons. Like the cutting board does more damage with flat characters
What?
and has a different effect.
Well, because cutting board is the conventional sort of way of making fun of someone with a flat chest.
It is also full of memes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas Vampire Survivor is... Well, I'm not going to call them Castlevania references because they're Castlevania rips.
Yeah, like the sprites are straight ripped from Castlevania.
Yeah. Like, the character
This
you
game-
start off with is just straight up Belmont. One of the Belmonts.
Yeah, and
Big one.
unlike all the Vampire Survivor characters, the main weapon for every character in this game is unique to them. No other character can use it.
Yeah, Vampire Survivor, the unique weapon, aside from the early characters, it's only unique until you've survived for 15 minutes with that character. Then it opens up for everyone.
And that's only for the first little batch, and then you just need to level up certain other weapons to get the character unlocked that starts with that weapon.
Yep. There's item evolutions in Vampire Survivor as well. All you need to do is max out a weapon's level, and then pick up the correct passive to go with it, and it'll evolve.
In this game, every main weapon automatically hits a mini evolved state for that character. Their main weapon does when it hits like rank 7, I think.
All right.
So it will do a mini evolution if you get it to rank 7, where it gets significantly better. And then after that, there's their version of the traditional Vampire Survivor weapon awakening system is called Collaboration, where if you have things like plug-in type Asakoko, which is a butt plug, and Elite Lava Bucket, which is a Minecraft lava bucket, you shoot a permanent, the fire breath power up in Vampire Survivor. You
Yep.
get that permanently.
Okay. All right. So I've hit level 3. Level 1, level 2, I picked up the whirlpools naturally for Gura. I'm tempted to go with Trident Thrust.
Yeah, that's your main attack. So
Yeah.
if that's Gura's unique main attack, and
She
at
pokes.
certain breakpoints, it will get dramatically better.
Yeah. So yeah.
Iris is basically unplayable, by the way, if you don't awaken her basic attack as soon as possible.
Oh right, I got to remember there is strafing, unlike Vampire Survivor.
Yes, this is a huge difference from Vampire Survivor because you can only attack in the direction you're moving in Vampire Survivor. In Hollow Cure, you can lock your attack cursor's direction and can move in a different direction.
Yes. But, there's still a lot of themes here, like monster formations come out on a timer and things like that. But it's a lot visually stronger, this game. Also, it's free,
Well-
so there's that as well.
Well, of course it's visually stronger. It doesn't have icky boys and is all cute girls.
How can you tell what gender anything in Vampire Survivor is?
Some
Except
of
for
them
that
have
one
dress.
character who is Bayonetta. She's just straight up Bayonetta. Who is actually
Yeah,
ridiculously overpowered.
I died trying to unlock her.
It's not that hard. You just pick a direction and run in it. So, yeah, I'm going to keep on chipping away at this. Look, there's a big one. I'm assuming that's the equivalent of a
Oh.
chest-bearing monster.
Oh, the other difference is character special attacks that you don't have when you start the game yet. You have to unlock them in the shop, but they're really cheap. They're like 10 gold.
Oh,
So
yeah.
after 10 or 100 or something like that. And this gives you a special attack button that when you press it, does a huge, big attack, and this attack recharges over time.
There we go. We just got Lava Bucket.
Yeah, Lava Bucket is the equivalent of the holy water from Vampire Survivor.
Yeah. Holy water in Vampire Survivor is rather pooey until you evolve it.
Lava Bucket is too, unless you're Gura, where she can lock things into the lava bucket.
Yeah.
But Lava Bucket is also a collab superstar.
Yeah, it is used in like 2 really good collab items.
Yeah. Let's see. Face mask, full meal, elite lava bucket, and nurse's horns. So yeah, there's a lot of just references and memes. So I'm
The
gonna
nurse's
keep.
horns are OP.
When a target is defeated, there's. Oh wow, yeah, okay, I see that being overpowered.
Yeah, it's the only way to survive in endless mode.
Yeah.
It's basically one of very few mandatory items.
I have no idea what I'm doing basically because Hololive is all memes. The whole thing is memes. So yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't have Icky Boys doing memes.
Whoops, I don't know what I just picked there. I think I just picked up Shockbite.
That's good. It gives you a chance to heal and deal and reduce the enemy's defense on hit.
Yeah. So yeah. As for my week, I haven't done a whole lot unfortunately because we're getting into drunk cowboy season here.
Is it? I ask you this every time, but I'll keep doing it. Is it ever not drunk cowboy season for you?
There is drunk cowboy season, and then there is slightly less than drunk cowboy season. I'm being chased by a chicken.
So, I think we need to amend your terminology to.
I'm pretty sure that it's just a question of from how far out of town are the Cowboys travelling to be drunk?
Yes, this time of year they're international.
Oh boy! So
Yeah.
you got the Texans.
It's the rodeo circuit. So yeah, rodeo is probably one of the lowest brow forms of entertainment in existence. But anyway,
I mean, there's not a whole lot to it, but I don't have a problem with good old rodeo.
you get sick of it when there's 10 rodeos a year.
I was under the impression that it was just sort of like a side attraction for like cattle trading or something.
It's more of a side attraction for heavy drinking.
Well, you're biased.
I'm experienced. Oops, I took a wrong turn there. I'm going to die. Gura, no!
okay.
She exploded.
That's okay. You can unlock character special abilities now and increase the depth of the game even more.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying this. And yeah, like I enjoy Vampire Survivor, but it is a bit shallow. Again, because the core of the game was made in an afternoon by the look of it. So, let's see. Where do I go to shop? Shop, there. Let's see. Character gacha. Myth. I can't see who's who in here because everything is pixely. Alright, so that's the end. Okay. Open Council. It's 1,000 to spin that, so I don't have the money to do that. Okay, buy upgrades.
Get special attack.
I need more money for that.
How much does it cost by default?
500.
Okay, yeah, get that first.
Yeah. Everything's kind of at the moment. Armory? Oh yeah, that's just the gallery. So it doesn't have... This doesn't have as many options for stuff you can get as Vampire Survivor yet. But what you do have has a lot more depth to it.
Vampire Survivor also has several months more of development than this game's had.
Yeah.
And this game still looks better. And plays better.
I'll try Calliope. She goes swoosh.
Her scythe is huge.
It is ridiculously big.
It does have a dead zone though, so you gotta be
yeah,
careful
it
with
looks
that.
like anything right up close to you is going to be safe. So, okay. As far as weeks go, most of my gaming has either been Ace Attorney or Monster Hunter. I haven't progressed Ace Attorney as much as I would have liked to, because, the second set of episodes kind of just hits the ground running and just keeps going at a much heavier tone than the first series. So I've finished the second case, and I've moved on to the third, which is all about the World Exposition. A scientist has built he calls it a kinetic accelerator or something like that. It's a teleporter, which goes bang. And
Is it
somebody...
supposed to go bang?
It was not supposed to go bang, and it went bang and killed someone who was a crime lord. So, yeah. You've gone... In the second case, the defendant is a paranoid, jittery Japanese man with a very suspicious mustache. Now, we've gone one step. It's a very jittery, hyperactive German scientist with a very suspicious hairdo. But, you know, this is Ace Attorney. It just keeps happening. Like that. I didn't even properly look at what I just got, so... I guess Calliope is rapping now. It is what she do.
It's a decent late game skill, but since it doesn't take a slot, you pick it anyway. It's not going to hurt you for taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Unique character skills do not take up passive or weapon slots.
Yeah, another advantage over Vampire Survivor, because they do in that game. Everything takes a slot.
Raw stat increases also do not take a slot.
Settings. One other thing that Vampire Survivor does... No, this game doesn't look like it does. The Vampire Survivor also has items that are littered around the ground. And what you do for those is you do not touch them until you fill up your 5 slots. Because that allows you to overflow. Let me see.
Let's see.
Yeah. So, yeah, you've only got the 5 or the 6 slots, and if you pick up one after those slots are filled, it will just make a new slot. So it allows you to make some really busted builds. I guess
the wrapper increases damage done the closer stuff is to you.
Yeah. So, considering your main attack is a big swoosh, it works out nicely. So yeah, still chipping away at Ace Attorney, but yeah, it's getting dark, as every Ace Attorney does. The prosecutor of course has his big secret. Let's go with that. He's not... Well, he's rumoured to be murdering people who get acquitted while he's prosecuting. But generally, everyone who's died in suspicious circumstances after they've been acquitted has been absolute human scum anyway. They've usually gotten themselves acquitted by bribing the jury or falsifying evidence or stuff like that. So, as he says, the odds are... He's got no involvement in it, but odds are that they get wiped out by their own type of people.
So it's a killer type of scenario?
Kinda, yeah. There might be a ripper in the background because, you know, Victorian England. But, yeah. So he's been called basically the Reaper of the Bailey, and people assume that it's some sort of curse he puts on them because they get acquitted, but it's more just statistical probability in this case. But he doesn't do anything to dissuade the rumour because it is causing a decrease in crime, so... I mean, just go with it. Oh, okay, I can upgrade. Upgrade my scythe. Or swoosh.
Got an anvil.
Got an anvil.
Anvils are unique to this game. I don't think Vampire Survivor has an equivalent.
Nope, it does not.
It lets you just take a level on any item you currently possess.
Yeah.
Or if it's capped, you can spend money that you need to use at the shop normally to unlock stuff to make the weapon more powerful this run.
Hmm. Oh, what's this? Oop, dodge that. That's one more thing I've noticed that Vampire Survivor doesn't do is they have movement-based enemy waves a lot more active. So stuff you actually have to dodge. Vampire Survivor does have stuff like that, but it's not very frequent. There's one level that it's a major mechanic for, but yeah, for the others, it's not so much.
Yeah, they've only got the one stage in Hollow Cure right now.
Yeah, which is this rather pleasant grassy field full of snakes.
That ends with small Ame.
Okay. As for Monster Hunter, I've been chipping away at it, haven't had as much time to play it as I would have liked. I got up to Garangol, but I haven't attempted him yet. And Actually spent a good chunk of my time trying to upgrade my gear with limited success. Yeah, I'm starting to think that... Well, actually, no, I'm not starting to think. It's Monster Hunter. The desire sensor is real. And there is no Poogie to pat to alleviate it.
You've got a Kahoot.
The Kahoot is a lie. It's no Poogie.
I'm pretty sure the Kahoot's real. I have to remember to check it all the time, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, there is one quest that I found, which is like take 3 photos of 3 Kahoots in the hub. But it's got to be 3 unique Kahoots, and yours only counts for 1, even if you take it at photos in different spots.
Yeah, when you first go to Elgato, they mention that there's a family of white Kahoots has moved in, but I've never seen them, so...
I've seen 1. I found 1. It pops up on the scaffolding behind the Admiral. So that's one of the ones I've taken photos of. The other one I took photos was my own, and I need to find a third, but I haven't found a third one yet. So, yeah. As for monsters, yeah, it's all... I haven't fought anything brand new yet, because, yeah, there's Garen Golem to look forward to at this point, who is the big Frankenstein's monster monkey. So, that is honestly about it for my week. I have not done a whole lot at all. I haven't even watched any good anime or TV or anything. Ugh. So, we'll just jump straight over. Vol, what you been doing?
Unfortunately, my week sounds more or less like yours. Volumes at work have gotten way up. So, unfortunately for me, the processing department, when volumes are up, they simply give them more staff. But since I'm the only one who has the expertise to do what I do, I just have to work as much longer as there is more work to do. And there's really nothing else to be done about it. So, yeah, I've been working some very long days, and it honestly hasn't been helped by some of the sloppiness of my co-workers. A whole bunch of stuff was incubated without any record of when it was done. If I've got no record of when it was done, then I don't know to take it out of the incubator, and I don't know when to take it out of the incubator, so I ended up having to spend a lot of time sort of trying to go back through traceability and work out when it was likely that these things were incubated, and then try and, you know, patch up the records as best as I could.
It sounds like someone's just out to waste your time, really.
It's all stuff that I've got much better things to be doing than that.
Mm-hmm.
But ain't nothing I can do about that now. But yeah, that ate up a lot of free time that I would have much rather spent playing Monster Hunter. But so this week was 5th anniversary for FGO, which means Castoria banner. I had very uncharacteristically good luck with the Castoria banner. So I made out with 2 copies of Castoria, and a copy of Napoleon, and Chiron, and Lakshmi Bai, which strangely Lakshmi Bai was the first thing that I pulled, I think.
Yeah, and it was the same thing for me. It was the first thing I pulled.
Yeah, and she's got no rate up. There's no reason to believe that she would be pulled first, but Ari and I both got her. And did I get anything else? I feel like I did. I don't remember who, though. Yeah, so basically I got a lot of stuff. And in the GSSR, I got King Protea, who is basically a gimmick character that you can build a team around her that's quite effective, especially as she gets more strengthenings. But she's a character that basically gets fat, essentially. She stacks growth stacks on herself and gets increasingly powerful as she does, and she spends them to do her noble phantasm. But you've really got to build a team around her. She doesn't slot into any of the conventional archetypal teams. So yeah, I'm not really prepared to use her. I was sort of hoping for somebody else, but at least she's somebody I didn't have, so it sort of adds to the collection, I guess. But yeah, so I did pretty well on that one. I invested a lot of time in farming the new EXP stages, which are half AP, since they've added an extra rank to Ember farming. and
Is that extra rank permanent, by the way?
I believe so. I believe so. It would be... People would be very salty if they took it away. But the embers that it drops fewer embers, but each of those embers is worth 3 times as much, roughly, as the classic ember. So it makes leveling much faster. Not to mention the 5 times rate of super and great success. That oh man, trying to fight a Barry off at the same time as doing the show is really the bad idea.
Yeah.
He is an angry cat.
Bad kitty.
Yeah, the 5 times super and great success rate has also helped a great deal. So I've leveled up a lot of characters, and I'm still not at the sort of like Ari leveling completion point that he gets to when he's playing a lot of FGO. But I've gotten most of my things leveled up, and I've got Kiyohime has begun her journey to 120. She's now at level 102, so I am now a toxic presence on most people's support lists.
Hooray!
Since the default sorting is by level, and very few people really have characters that are much above level 100 because of how hard it is to get them there. And so now everybody's got this obnoxious level 102 Kiyohime at the top of their Berserker list. And she is not useful in any team, really.
But waifu power.
Yeah, it's like, this is a character that you build up for love, not because she's actually useful. Yeah, so that's a work in progress. It's just going to take a very, very long time. But yeah, because I think that what is it? Something like for every level that you give to a character that's above level 100 is enough EXP to get the levels from 90 to 100 on another Grailed servant.
That's kind of nuts.
It's a huge amount of EXP that's required, but it's not something that is balanced around. Like the extra stats that you get from plus over level 90 leveling is factored out of game balance entirely. It's purely designed to be for characters that you really like, just so that you can make the ones you like powerful enough to use all the time if you really want to, type of thing. And I do appreciate that type of thing, especially in a game format that is so strongly meta driven. But yeah, so that's that. Pinecone's got an event too, new summer event. Yeah, it's just like every other event because they've got no variation in their events whatsoever. Except there's a different mini game this time where you punch things. I guess you punch snakes.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
yeah, I'm not really sure. I did it enough to get all the rewards. That's all I can say about it. It's not actually anywhere near as entertaining as the Kuka minigame.
Yeah,
That was
Cannon.
the last minigame from an event.
That was the best minigame. Everybody loves Kuka Cannon.
I don't think most people love it quite as much as you do, but it is still very entertaining. Yeah, so yeah, that's the thing, I guess. I suppose lots of people are going to be rolling madly for Summer Makoto since she's hacks for Clan Battle. I'm pretty sure Ari and Abo both got it.
It took a lot more gems than I wanted it to. Abo got her in literally one ticket.
Well,
Nice.
I mean, I remember Abo messaging me because he was mad that you got Musashi in one ticket. And like, now you know how he felt.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I'm not. Well, Makoto is very cute, and all of her sort of character bits are very, very tropey, very typical, very traditional type of way of playing a tomboy character who is hell bent on projecting like she's not cute. Nevertheless, she's got pretty high waifu power, but I'm not really a Makoto simp. I like Maho better, and I presume her banner will come a bit later.
Yeah, it's coming up. I think right after Makoto's.
I haven't decided if I'll roll for her at all yet, because I don't really want to damage my stock. But I've got about 85,000 joules at present.
Yeah.
So the question is, how hard will I commit to trying to get Maho if I pull for her? I don't even know if she's actually useful at all. I just like Maho.
Yeah, and if you get her, even if she isn't super OP, then base Maho still gets stat ups from the Bond quests.
That's true. Rings. But I don't know what Summon Maho even does. I haven't looked it up at all. I don't know. Is she at all useful? Do you have any idea?
I haven't looked at her at all. I have no idea.
Yeah. Anyway, haven't decided if I'll pull for her or not yet. But the important thing for me right now is to try and keep enough joules in reserve to spark Nenica and New Year's Carol. But New Year's Carol is quite a bit of time away. The problem is that I don't know what my actual ability to acquire joules will be like in that time, since most of the joules that a starting account will get, I've got most of already.
Yeah,
so yeah, without the ability to build a good PvP team, my joule acquisition is going to slow to a crawl.
So yeah, that's what I think they were going for with PvP balance. Is early on, you have the options of the standard. The quest will still be giving you your joules there. You'll still be getting your joules from doing all the Tower of Lunas that you haven't done yet. You'll still be getting all your joules from all the other stuff that you do for the first time. And as you get leveled up, you'll increase your PvP rank to offset that loss a little bit. Yeah, I think that's what they were going for.
Well, what they were actually going for was the rich get richer, because that's a standard gacha technique where the more money you invest, the more powerful you get, the more easily you can acquire more joules. So yeah, it's while it's a very generous gacha, you can still see the bones of that there, and that the people who have whaled are going to dominate PvP, period, end, because they have all of the options available and they have better gear than everybody else. That's just the way it is. It's gacha. Well, yeah, that's the thing with gacha and PvP. Like, generally speaking, I don't like gacha PvP because of this sort of crap. Hey, I managed to kill the Barioth without dying.
Nice.
Yay. The real shoe with the whales and Pinecone is their ability to just reset stamina or stamina refresh nonstop.
Yeah, but well, that basically means that you're going to have the best gear because you can farm forever.
Yeah, well, when a new set comes out for somebody that's level capped and already has their current main roster that they use, if they were geared up, it takes them about 3 to 4-ish weeks to fully gear up for the next drop and get the new piece of equipment that's been added for everybody and get it ranked up. Even worse, when there's a new rank up, it can take about a month and a half.
Yeah, and I've heard that the farming process to get from 5-star to 6-star is also oppressively difficult for people who aren't just constantly refilling their stamina.
Yeah, it's a mess with the refreshers, but yeah.
But yeah, my problem is composition more than anything else. Like, I can't even hold my own with people who are my own level. I just get whomped constantly because I have no magic damage options. So
yeah, you need
everybody leads with Miyako. Period. End. Like, well, that's not strictly true. It's like 90% of people are going to be leading with Miyako, and I just don't have a way of dealing with Miyako at all.
Yeah, Miyako Kuka is the current meta. Regular Kuka, not fun Kuka.
Yeah, currently the only way I get like maybe 1 out of 6 PvP matches I win, roughly. And that's only by trying to look for the squishiest tanks and then building a team which is all focused on supporting Murder Hobo. Because nothing else seems to work at this point.
Yeah, I finally had to give up on Murder Hobo in PvP. It was a sad day.
Yeah, well, I've tried all kinds of other DPS options, but like Reno is too slow, and I don't have what's the one with the AoE defense down? The one with the eye patch. I don't have her built up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you need basically a built Lima, built whatever her name is, and Reno all put together, in addition to some tanks, in order to actually use a Reno build properly. Any build that I tried to build around her, she's just too slow. It doesn't matter how much TP up you try and pump into her, she's not going to get enough union bursts to actually win the fight for you.
Yeah.
And since I've only got 3-star earlier, she's just too squishy. She dies literally within the first 2 or 3 seconds of the fight every time I use her. So it's down to Murder Hobo.
You've got to get a magic user to punch through the Miyakos. Right now, my current team is Halloween, Nobu, and Kyoka are my main attackers. It's a split physical magic team because teams at the upper ranks are running both Kuka and Miyako in the front line.
Yeah, that's what I'm already seeing that, and I'm at like rank 600.
Yeah, and you just have to find a way to punch through that Miyako so that your physical deeps can kill the Kuka fast enough that you can get to the DPS. And Kyoka is the only way I've found to do it. And she's an anti-meta pick. Nobody, except for a few people on the Reddit, have recommended Kyoka that I've seen. But it's entirely crit reliant, and you need her unique equipment to do it.
Well, she's in like 1 in 3 teams that I see at my rank.
Yeah. So, but her thing in PvP is if she crits the Miyako is dead. If she does not crit the Miyako, it's going to stay alive too long, and the Kuka is never going to die. So that's the coin flip. Is can Kuka kill the Miyako?
Yeah. So times in Pinecone is still a bit grim for me, but I've got a good stock of jewels, and I'm hoping that Nenika will help me out if I can. Like, it's not even just Nenika, it's the fact that there's going to be a rate up, a generalized rate up during the Princess Festival, which I'm hoping will allow me to land at least one character who can do tolerable magic damage, which unfortunately means only Kyoka.
Yeah, but, Anne's a hybrid. She's support DPS. Yeah, it's hard to get magic right now. That's why we're going to see quite a few magic characters coming out to help support the lack of magic characters in the game.
But I mean, maybe even if I have weak magic characters, like maybe in combination with Nenika, it's enough to make a difference. Hard to say. But yeah, so basically everything is going to hinge on my ability to do well in that particular gacha, and I think I just used up all my luck in FGO. So, yeah, that was that.
How much quartz did you spend in FGO to get two Castorias?
Couple hundred, maybe. I've got more than 1,000 Saint Quartz left in the bank.
Okay. So
I'm doing pretty well on Saint Quartz for saving for the next banner. Next banner of interest to me is, since I was successful on Castoria, that means that the next banner that I'm going to roll for is Himiko. Because Himiko, combined with Castoria, generates one of the most effective stall teams in the game. And it's a stall team that doesn't have 0 damage. It doesn't have good damage at all, but it doesn't have 0 damage like most stall teams do. So it's become sort of like the premier stall tactic for fights that you just don't have a decisive solution to. And since I have poor gacha luck, so my NP levels are generally very low, so I don't have many servants capable of dealing a king hit in a challenge quest. And so a lot of the time the solution to that is to stall out the challenge quest. But stall teams haven't had many improvements since Merlin came out. So Himiko's release will fix that quite a bit. And Himiko has a very unremarkable kit by herself, but her Noble Phantasm, I think it's her Noble Phantasm, or is it one of her skills? I don't remember. At any rate, she has the ability to confer overcharge +2 ranks, I think.
Yeah, it says on her NP plus 2 stages 1 time for 3 turns.
Yeah. Now, combine that with Castoria's ability to apply super invul, and that means that you can basically no-sell most of an opposing servant's damage for quite a while. So there are lots of popular shells for that team. Like some people will run Merlin for the extra healing, and NP charge, and some people will run Tamamo for similar reasons. alongside Castoria and Himiko. But yeah, it's a very strong stall shell, so it'll be what I aim for next. But I haven't decided how much quartz I'll commit to that. I probably don't want to go dry on it, so I'll probably earmark maybe 500 for Himiko, because I need to keep some in reserve for the next Spishtar banner, because I didn't get NP2 last time, and NP2 is sort of like the threshold you need to overkill enough that berserkers don't screw your looping, because NP charged from overkill, well, NP charge in general from dealing damage to berserkers is very low. That's the trade-off with berserkers. You do a lot more damage to them, but you aren't going to farm much NP charge off of doing damage to them. So having NP2 to increase the amount of hits that hit in overcharge is sort of necessary for a lot of waves. And I didn't get it last time. Just after New Year, I think, is likely to be the banner for next Space Ishtar. But that also follows the banner for Muramasa, who is another important arts farming servant, who is a AoE saber who does sufficient damage under the right conditions that that he can even farm lances. But I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to go for him, because he's another one who his internal steroids aren't sufficient to use him at NP1 really, and if I go for him, I'm probably ending up spreading myself too thin, so I'll have lots of very powerful farmers who are only NP1 and therefore are not effective in a lot of waves. So it might be better to just go deep for Spishtar. But you don't need multiple ranks with Himiko in order for her to be effective as a staller. So she's a much safer bet to spend quartz on, so that'll probably be my next target. Anyway, that's that. I have not watched any anime from the new season. I fired up a list of it last night to look for something to watch, and it was like, I felt sort of like genuinely sad.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually surprised and a little bit worried about how upset I was when I looked at that list, and I was like, everything here looks like complete trash.
I'm not sad, I'm just disappointed.
Well, the thing is that I have, over many years now, I have made a habit of Saturday night anime watching. I'll just settle down and I'll binge watching the new episodes that have come out for a whole bunch of series that season. I've been doing it for years. But this is the first season that I've just looked at the list and there's nothing here I want to watch. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's all bad.
It's a season, I think, where it's time to go back and catch up on some of the stuff that we've missed.
Maybe that. Maybe just watch old comfort food. I haven't made a decision yet, because it's sort of like, I've seen so many anime that making that decision in a vacuum is kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was deeply disappointing. Not altogether unexpected. While I haven't actually run up against this before, where there's literally nothing I want to watch, I have seen that it has happened to people in the past, particularly just before I started intensively watching lots of series at once, during the end of the Moe boom, where everything was just Moe trash.
Yep.
There was a similar sort of period where everything was sort of generic fluff that nobody cared about. But yeah.
We got that now with the Isekai boom.
Yeah, and these booms they come to the end. And I remember when the Magic High School Battle genre sort of came to its end. Because there are a few titles in that genre that, whether they're good or bad, I like them a lot and I rewatch them regularly. But I remember some of the ones that came out toward the end that were just truly atrocious in terms of like sheer quality, both in animation and writing, were just like, oh my goodness, this is just deeply awful.
Yeah.
So maybe a few episodes in, there will be some series this season that will rally and people start to talk about them as being actually worth your time, but we'll have to wait and see, because it really doesn't look like it, to be honest. The only one that's even vaguely interesting to me is Overlord, because I've watched the other 3 seasons, but I don't remember what happened toward the end of season 3. This plot got a little bit convoluted, so I'd have to rewatch the other ones first. And honestly, it's not as fun as some of the other more entertaining isekai. It's just tries a little bit too hard to be edgy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Momonga's better in Isekai Quartet IMO.
He's so good in Isekai Quartet. They're supposed to be doing a third series. They teased it, but they've never. It hasn't come out yet.
Even once those things get greenlit, actually finding the production time is quite difficult. At the rate of churn that we're looking at now, it's easier to think of animation production as being sort of similar to video game production.
Yeah.
So you do get series that are announced and then get stuck in development hell. But yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
also, given with how Isekai Quartet works, like at the end of the second series, they were starting to bring in more and more series. They're churning through, even just if you consider Kadokawa on their own, they're churning through Isekai series so quick, it's going to be hard to keep it relevant.
Yeah, I don't think that they should really do that. But I mean, it was always going to have a shelf life because there's only a certain amount of length of time that people are going to care about the series involved. Like, a lot of people have already forgotten about Tanya the Evil.
Yep.
Konosuba, I think, will remain in people's memories for quite a while, and ReZero also, for whatever reason. But
yeah, Tanya the Evil, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Overlord will, provided they keep making content. I think the moment
if
that story's done, it'll be gone.
Yeah, if the series doesn't jump the shark, then people will keep paying attention. But that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
It is a light novel after all. I think it's a light novel. Yeah. So I don't know who else that they're going to bring in.
Well, they brought in Shield Hero for season 2, and Cautious Hero is in there as well.
I have mixed feelings about Cautious Hero.
It honestly felt like a one and done.
Yeah, it is a one and done.
Yeah.
The story, there's no reason to continue that story because they pull off such a successful emotional gut punch at the end that to try and do anything more with it would just be a waste of time and effort. Like the series starts, proceeds, and finishes very well for what it tries to do. It's not terribly ambitious. It's sort of like a one joke sort of story. They frame it pretty well. It works out quite well, and I don't think it needs to be embellished from where it is.
Yeah, too often you see them try to milk a second series out of a story that's already done and just undermines the whole thing.
It is so done. Like this is not like, oh well, Dragon Ball is done. They killed the last big enemy, and then so they can do another saga after that.
Yeah,
like, it's not like that because the Cautious Hero one, it spends all of the energy that it has. There's nothing left over at the end. Because it's about you find out what makes Restate the way she is, what makes the lead hero, what's his name, the way he is. Like what is the all these heroes blur together. There's so many of them, they have no distinguishing features for the most part. But Restate has a distinguishing feature of being an important member of the pantheon of useless goddesses, along with Aqua and Ishtar.
That's becoming quite the pantheon. And it's a very, very useless pantheon.
Anyway. I don't know how many of these are safe to eat in a short period of time. To stop me from coughing.
At this point, I'd say you've built up a resistance. Just go for it.
Yeah. Anyway.
If you're not spending all day clamped to the toilet.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Yeah, so that's that. I've basically played no Final Fantasy. I don't think I've even logged in. Because I've been too busy and Garch has been eating a lot of my time. And I also haven't played very much of Sunbreak. I've played a little bit. I've played enough to realise... honestly, I would say probably 90% of the time I spent signed into Sunbreak was just running around the hub area, pondering my options. And honestly, this is an aspect of video games in general and Monster Hunter in particular that I actually kind of enjoy. Just sort of like mentally theory crafting my options, or what route should I go next with my gear development, what weapon would be good. Unfortunately, I do end up suffering from decision paralysis a lot of the time, and usually end up concluding that I'll just make everything. But But yeah, I played just enough of Sunbreak to realise that I was shattering like a pane of glass when hit. Because I was still wearing my high rank gear. Now my high rank gear is very good, and it was good at recovering from shattering like a pane of glass, much better than my current gear set is. But the reality is that you can't afford to lose that much health all at once. It's too dangerous. So I rebuilt a new set, and it's just an entry level set. I made the Velociprey set because it's very easy to farm. Velociprey are not exactly threatening,
No, they're everywhere. They bark at you, and that's about all they do.
and they fall over.
They fall over.
Yeah, so I just farmed up full Velociprey, which is actually a very, 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 very good starter set. Like, way better than I gave it credit for. It's loaded with decoration slots, and it comes with built-in, whatchamacallit, comes with built-in stun resist, full 3 ranks. So, and that, I consider that, because I'm a real sloppy, bad player, I consider full stun resist to be basically mandatory. Like, not having it is too dangerous. And in addition to that, you get like a full 3 ranks of windproof, and you get like 5 ranks of attack boost. So it's just all round, it's a really solid starter set with a lot of flexibility. And for similar reasons, I just decided I'd pick a new starter weapon, and I just grabbed the whatchamacallit, the Camera Greatsword.
Okay, you dropped the heavy bowgun?
I always, when I'm playing solo, I always use Greatsword. When I'm playing a group, I always use heavy bowgun.
Okay, there you go.
Because I just don't trust my bowgun skills enough to take care of myself when trying to get out of a difficult situation. When I'm using the heavy bowgun in a group and the monster decides that he wants to eat me, there's still a decent chance that he's going to get distracted. Whereas with I use the greatsword because I know the greatsword quite well, and I know how to react to situations that become unwieldy.
Yeah.
Whereas everything about using the heavy bowgun is unwieldy. So, yeah. The thing with the greatsword right now, though, is that I'm sort of perturbed by the fact that once you get the next set of switch skills, and I don't know when that happens, I think it just happens naturally as you progress. You'll just get them as a batch, the same way we got the first lot as a batch, rather than unlocking them one by one. When you get the next set of switch skills, it radically changes the way Greatsword plays, because the ones that are optimal are so far optimal that you've got to use those. And it's a very different play style that's a little bit, not completely, but a little bit reminiscent of sort of a hybrid between Lance and Longsword, in that you are very focused on tanking hits and then countering.
Yep.
Whereas whereas you know, with the Lance you're just trying to tank the hits. With the Longsword you're focused on countering. Greatsword does both. So you have a sort of an about face in the way you build your gear, focused around what can you do while in red health that is really effective, because you're always going to have a little bit of red health because you want to take those hits, because your counter is by far more powerful than any of your regular strikes, or rather your counter opens you up to a lot of opportunities to use empowered regular strikes. So that's going to happen, and it's going to take me a while to get used to it. But since I generally play in a very tanky style to begin with, despite the fact I don't play Lance, maybe I should try Lance since I'm very focused on tanking hits a lot of the time. But
does so little damage though.
They've dramatically buffed the damage output of Lance in Sunbreak.
Have they?
It's not a great sword, but it's very, very much higher than it was.
Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm just getting amused by the memes in this game again. I just unlocked Sana.
Sana's big.
She's big. Her special is become big.
So, yeah, I'm really interested in it, and a lot of people playing it have very, very positive things to say about the way the game gets later. Although, based on the sort of the number of exclamation points on the videos that I'm avoiding watching to try and miss the spoilers, it seems like they've got some power creep going on. But yeah, a lot of people seem quite pleased with the way it has played out. and if you view it through the narrow lens of, oh, well, Rise plus Sunbreak is a one-off experiment in altered game pacing due to wire bugs that won't make a comeback. If you view it through that lens as sort of like an independent game, rather than something that is changing the direction of Monster Hunter as a whole, then I can sort of see the appeal.
Yeah.
While a lot of things are used, you look at them and they should, oh well, that was really punishable, I should have suffered a bit more for that. Generally speaking, those situations arise because you're already playing badly.
Yeah.
Like, the way that I see people who are good at Sunbreak play, they always have 0 wire bugs. They can't use their escape. Period. End. Because if you have wire bugs in stock, you're playing badly. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a question of how you're going to optimize. If you're going to use all of your wire bugs on escaping, then that's the same thing as building a set which does nothing but tank. You've got no ranks of attack, you've got no ranks of crit, you've got no ranks of weakness exploit, you've only got ranks of defense and defense and defense. Like, that's the same logic. Yeah. So sure, you can make yourself very hard to punish, but you're also doing almost no damage, because the switch skills are what combat is built around, especially in Sunbreak. It was already the case in Rise, but it's much, much more so in Sunbreak. A lot of them are very, very splashy abilities.
Yeah, like we've seen experimental Monster Hunters before. Like Generations was very experimental because they had switch skills I think they're still called switch skills actually, but they were more kind of based on a stance system. A lot of those skills either disappeared in world or were incorporated into the base weapon set. So it's good we get the experimental ones. Like I can see a lot of the wire bug stuff going away, but I could honestly see a lot of it being integrated into Insect Glaive on its own.
Yeah, I think that basically the switch skill system and the Silkbind ability system, that's basically an excuse to try out a whole host of new abilities. Ones they can't bake all of them into the base weapon for going forward, but it gives them the opportunity to try out a lot of different playstyles.
Yeah.
I haven't actually tried out the fast greatsword yet, but apparently there are quite a few people who like the feel of it, and they feel that it gives them a lot of flexibility and maneuverability as a greatsword user that they didn't have before, in exchange for losing a lot of the punch. But I can't see them ever baking that into the base greatsword.
No.
However, if they do another stance-based game, then that could be an alternate stance.
Alternately, it could manifest as a new weapon.
It could do.
Possibly another blunt weapon.
I don't necessarily feel like it's well distinguished enough from greatsword proper for that to be the case. Yeah. But it is a very an interesting stance where you switch much more freely between, like, I almost never. I think of it as hitting circle, but I don't know what you would actually call it because I'm not playing on a PlayStation. There are 2 types of strikes with the greatsword, roughly speaking: vertical ones and horizontal ones. I almost never use the horizontal ones. I don't know if that makes me a bad greatsword player, but it just doesn't seem like there are many situations where that's the right option. Whereas when you're using the fast stance from the switch skills, you can freely weave the verticals and horizontals together into the same combo. So you have a lot more sort of fluidity to the way that weapon plays. I haven't used it really, so I don't really know how it plays out in practice long term, but it's certainly an interesting concept. I just don't think it's very greatsword. Like, the charged slash approach that everything revolves around charged slash is one that I think is very much more characteristic of greatsword. I'm sort of like a greatsword heretic at the moment because I'm using rage slash, but rage slash is sort of like the middle ground between where greatsword was in world and where greatsword ends up toward the end of Sunbreak. Where in world it was very much a skirmishing weapon in a sense where you would go in, you would set up your opportunity, you would hit with True Charge Slash, and you would then back off and look for another opportunity to hit with True Charge Slash. You really couldn't just go in and in and in and in and in. And at the end of Sunbreak, it's all about set up, receive the hit, return the damage. Set up, receive the hit, return the damage. Rage Slash is sort of in the middle of that, where you have a faster charge ability, which is more maneuverable to try and hit the target, because you can alter the direction after you've started charging, in a way to a much greater extent than True Charge Slash can. But it also requires you to receive a hit in order to do proper damage, and does trivial damage if you don't. So it's sort of halfway between those two logics. But yeah, most people go back to True Charge Slash late Sunbreak because their counter ability allows them to tank that hit that allows them to place their True Charge Slash properly. But yeah. So there's a lot going on there. You know, I haven't even scratched the surface of it for Greatsword alone, let alone the however many other weapons. They've got like 13 other weapons. I don't know. How many weapons are in this game anyway?
Yeah, 14.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot to do there, but I've made almost no progress because I don't have the freaking time.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing I dabbled in was in a fit of nostalgia. I logged on to the rogue server for Terra, just tool around a bit, and it's extremely functional. Pretty much everything is there the way you would want it in Terra. The guy that made it, put it together, wanted to do a Terra Classic, but he just was unable to get the code for it.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, it's sort of a late stage Terra build.
That reminds me of something I did do this week as well, but go on.
But everything is in there and it works properly, and he's making his own adjustments to balance and that sort of thing to keep everything working. The big problem is that it's basically unplayable, and the reason it's basically unplayable is that the server is in Europe. And the latency is too grotesque.
It's bad, Joe.
Yeah, so I did have fun sort of like stewing in the nostalgia and wandering around a little bit and seeing all the same places again. He apparently would have liked to put the Isle of Dawn back in as a starting zone, but when they rebuilt the code, even though the Isle of Dawn still exists in there, they have spaghetti coded the new starting area in so deeply that there was no way to weed it out.
Eee.
So, yeah, you're stuck with that opening story thing again. And unfortunately, it has all of the trivial health BAMs still intact based on that starting area.
That's a shame, because Isle of Dawn, it was a very good way to introduce you to the game.
It even had a boss.
It even had a boss. A proper boss.
Yeah, unfortunately, the NPC practically fight the boss for you at the end of the new starting experience. So, yeah.
Yeah, you might as well not even be there.
It was at once a nostalgic experience and a reminder of the reason why we left Terra.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's good in a sense that it was not that enchanting, because that latency is brutal.
So yeah, that's the other little thing I did this weekend is I stuck my head back into City of Heroes just to see what was going on over there. They're still going along nicely with that. They've added a few new power sets now.
This does not bode well for the state of the video game industry, by the way.
Well,
if we're dipping our heads back in old games,
old games that have been abandoned by their developers. NC Soft, from what I can tell, is still sticking their fingers in their ears, going la 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 la. Although I think that we're reaching a point where they can, well, they might not lose any sort of repercussions at this point, because it's been going for a few years now.
Yeah, I don't know. The guy running Menmas Terra is... I don't know how if he's going to face repercussions or not, because he does have a shop, and he does have a subscription service for the game, but it's been running a while now, and he hasn't received any C&Ds. He has a subscription service simply because it's expensive to maintain something like that.
Yeah.
He says he's going to slow down development though at this point, because he's got to try and like find a job now that he's finished college and so on and so forth. But I was really impressed with how well put together it is, and it's populated as well. Like, you see people running around playing it.
Yeah.
It's not high pop. It's the channels are all low pop, but you still see plenty of people around the place. So and you do have that constant scrolling thing where it announces when people have managed to successfully augment really high level gear or whatever.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that thing is still there. But it still ticks at the rate it did on live. So
Okay.
there's clearly a lot of people playing. A lot of people are really into it. He brought back a lot of the dungeons that got phased out in later Terra as just PvP activities for people to do, even though they're not part of the current in stage progression. So he brought back a lot of that stuff that people were really fond of from the past. And yeah, when you create a character, it comes with a level 70 boost that you can choose to use or not.
That's nice.
So that you can either jump straight to the end game, or you can just toddle along and do things the old-fashioned way if you prefer. So yeah, it seems like a great project for those people who live close enough to the servers in order to take advantage of it, and I hope the guy's able to keep it running, because it seems like he's done a really great job, and he's got a lot of plans for how he wants to develop his own sort of ongoing structure for how balancing will be done, and he's basically seems to have built his own PvP mode for it, which is still MMO PvP, so it's a bit
jank.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like he's setting up a seasonal structure for it and that sort of thing. So you can create much in the way Guild Wars did, PvP characters as well, and just enter them in a PvP mode by the looks of things. So yeah, it's sort of interesting that it got killed when there's still so much interest in it. Because this is just the people playing who know about a totally unmarketed rogue Terra server who happen to live in Europe, and they're able to quite happily populate his server.
Yeah. It's probably... Well, actually, Terra itself was kind of flagging, at least the live version was, but there's seems to be a lot of interest in just Terra as it was, past tense.
Yeah, but the guy said that he couldn't get that code, so he wasn't able to make the classic version. But for those people who simply can't live without creating an Ellen character, there is a venue for you to express your perversity now.
And presumably the in-game shop is now just take what you want.
No, he's got a system set up where you earn currency in game.
Okay, that's acceptable.
And then you can spend it. You can, if you are going to support the server and get his membership thing, your earning rate goes up. Mm-hmm. But it's not like it goes up 100 times. It's it goes up double or something. So that means that you can still reasonably earn costumes. I think he said he hasn't managed to get all the costumes working and back in the shop yet, but most of them seem to be there.
Yeah. So seems like he's going to do something similar to what the City of Heroes guys do, where he's not directly taking money for the game. He's using donations, although having the funny money boost is probably cutting things a little bit close.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it's going to play out legally, because I'm pretty sure that there's more than enough to get him destroyed legally.
Oh yeah,
as things currently are. But the thing is, the developers of Terra seem to have no interest in the West whatsoever. That's why they killed the server. The publisher in the West for Terra, they didn't want to shut it down. They didn't want to stop.
No.
They were quite happy to keep going. The problem was that the developer decided that they had no interest in continuing to support the ongoing Western development.
Yeah, again, exactly the same what happened to City of Heroes. There was no interest in Korea. So the developers just didn't care anymore.
Yep, it just seems to be the way of things.
Yeah,
but,
the Western market is just an afterthought for some of these companies.
But I mean, look what happens if you decide that maybe it's not an afterthought. You get Final Fantasy XIV.
Exactly. There is money to be made there if they're willing to experiment and lash out a little bit.
Yep. So anyway, I'll call that my week. I don't think I've got much else to talk about.
All right. I probably should become big.
Yes, you should become big.
Big!
All right. If that's the end of Val's week, I guess we can shuffle into mine to keep it rolling.
Sure, go for it.
So, I didn't do a whole lot this week. I had three days where I had some time, and 2 days that were me stuck in work hell.
Yeah.
just had too much to do and couldn't even get home. Monday, Holocure ate me.
This game is addictive.
It
So
sure did eat you.
So for like the entirety of Monday, Holocure just ate me, and that was all she wrote for me on Monday.
That's why I have very, very, very diligently avoided downloading it. I think that it's cute and it looks really fun, but I won't do it. I won't do it because I know what will happen if I fall down that hole. I'll just lose my weekend. I have other things I want to play.
Yep.
And I don't know when I'm going to play them as it is. Like during the Steam sale, I decided that I would, on the last day of the sale, I decided to pick up Metal Gear Revengeance.
Nice.
Because Ari wouldn't stop talking about it, and sometime I might want to give war a chance. So
Like the good old days after 9/11.
that must be the only use of that phrase anywhere in human history.
Which reminds me, there's been some real stupid nonsense going on in the media the last 24 hours.
Oh yeah, the Hideo Kojima assassination scandal.
Yeah. What is wrong with you people?
Journalism, folks.
Journalists. They totally did a journalism.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Journalism's all over themselves.
Needless to say, Kojima is not amused.
I've seen memes pop up with Sam Hyde's face photoshopped over Kojima
Yeah, I've seen
in
that as
relation
well,
to
yeah.
this.
Yeah, it's always Sam Hyde. That's Sam Hyde.
It's just...
Yeah, there's so many Sam Hyde memes when stuff happens that I've got caught by them before. I've been like, oh wait, I can't see his face real good. Hang on, let me see. Oh, that's the Sam Hyde meme.
The worst is when enough time has gone in between outbreaks of Sam Hyde memes that you forget who Sam Hyde is.
Yeah,
It just happened to me once or twice.
And
Like,
suddenly,
that
there
name
he
doesn't
is.
sound right, but
yeah. So, and then you get U.S. not Supreme Court. You get U.S. congressmen tweeting out their praise of the Ghost of Kiev, Samovive Hydisky, or whatever they named him.
Oh, yeah. And this is why nobody trusts the media anymore.
Well, this was a politician who was known for being particularly stupid.
Oh, yeah, nobody trusts politicians in the first place.
But yeah, that was the peak Sam Hyde meme, and I don't think we can go any further than that. So yeah. Other good news this week, though, if we want to stay on current events that I've been celebrating, the Georgia Guidestones had a accident.
What's the go with the Guidestones? What are they all about?
oh, do you need to
They're
tell
a-
the story, Ari, the way you told me?
Okay.
Oh, this sounds like it's going to be
Because
stupid.
well, it's not that it's stupid; it's just really bizarre.
Right.
It's the sketchiest crap you've ever heard of.
Well,
And
first of all, you'll need to tell people what the Guidestones are and what's written on them.
Yeah. So I'll actually pull up the list of Georgia Guidestones.
Because I knew that they were what they were as a monument, but I didn't understand how such a monument could exist. So I asked Ari about it.
Yeah. So the Guidestones are a series of, I think there were 4 rocks and a central supporting pillar with a little bigger rock on top to hold them together. And they were in the middle of northeast Georgia, way out in the middle of bum F nowhere.
Right.
And they were erected and on them written in 4 different languages, or more than 4 different languages, in English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, traditional Chinese, and Russian are the following 10 things. We open with, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Now, I don't know if you've done the math, but we're around 8 billion now.
I don't think we're quite 8 billion, but definitely over 7.
We're getting there. And that's a whole lot of people that have to die to fit that number.
Yeah.
Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Eugenics.
Yes.
Unite humanity with a new living language. Some Tower of Babel crap.
Oh, no. Esperanto. There is one
Nobody-
person on Earth who
No-
speaks Esperanto.
Nobody uses Esperanto. It's dumb.
No. Yeah, the only person who speaks it fluently is Shatner. That's it.
Well, you can still go to school and learn it if you really want to.
Why would you want to?
I'm not quite sure exactly why you would. Like,
Yeah.
Klingon is literally more useful.
Yes. Most people speak Klingon than the supposed universal language.
Yeah. All right. The Guidestones continue. Rule passion and faith and tradition and all other things with tempered reason. Because that's not authoritarian and dystopian or anything. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Kind of generic, so just hippy-dippy nonsense.
Yeah.
Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. You had me at the halfway point, and then you lost me.
World Court?
Let's not do that.
Let's not do that, no.
What could possibly go wrong, you guys?
I know, right?
A global power structure seems like a pretty awful idea. Number 7 is the only one I can really get 100% behind. Balance petty laws avoid petty laws and useless officials.
Well,
This
bit
is
late
the
for that.
bit late for that, but also the only one of the things on the Guidestone I can actually get behind. Balance personal rights with social duties. So they want you to have as many rights depending on how much the current power structure values the job you do, I guess.
You have more rights depending on your values to society.
According to the current power, those currently in power,
Yes.
is what that's left out of here, but it is implied in just the nature of humanity.
To translate into another way of phrasing it, some people are more equal than others.
Yes. This is just a hippy-dippy anti-Christian garbage. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite.
I love the void!
I mean, it is just... Yeah. And then the last one is perhaps the most retarded hippy-dippy one. Be not a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature, leave room for nature.
Why did they need to say it twice?
Because they're artsy.
They're cultists.
So who
Yes.
created this artsy-fartsy
We'll get there.
nonsense?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the rocks. The rocks have been a stain on Georgia forever. Even the county that has them hates them. But they become such a big tourist attraction that they can't justify getting rid of them.
Because people have to go there to laugh.
Well, no, they attract the New World Order type cultists to come make their pilgrimage to them to see them occasionally.
Eh.
Yeah, ick.
The ones that don't have any money, you mean?
Yeah, so the story of these things is not easy to describe. Not because the events aren't recorded, but how do I describe this? Because everybody used a pseudonym. So, and I'll just pull up my thing I sent to Vault. It'll be easier to describe that and try and reread the actual story of how this happened. Okay, it's the sketchiest thing you've ever heard of how these things came to be. A guy under an alias approaches the city council, or the county council, I forget, and talks them into letting him pay for a section of land to build the big ugly rocks on. They think he's insane when he proposes the full details of what he wants to do, so they quote him a ridiculous price, like 4 times the value of what it should cost to build something there. He accepts it on the spot.
Okay, so the council just scored.
Money, anyway. They would pay with having to deal with these rocks for a while.
Yeah.
He builds his big F-off NWO rocks, and then just gives the county back the land. He pieces out of town, doesn't disclose who hired him or who he's affiliated with, and just those rocks are now there, and now a problem for the county, and they don't have a clue what to do with them, so they just kind of leave them sitting there because they're in the middle of nowhere and there isn't a road there yet. Eventually, somebody gets the bright idea to, once a road's built relatively close, to turn it into a local tourist spot, and it gains world attention over time.
Bet
These
the
things
only
were
thing
built
you
in the
could
70s.
do with it.
Yeah, these things were built in the 70s, by the way. And this is in Elberton, Georgia, which is literally on the East Coast, and about 1 or 2 counties south of the mountains. So that's where you're at for reference here. Now, the problem this week was this is my theory. We don't actually know what happened. They had one security camera at this place, and it was an ancient camera that had the lowest frame rate imaginable and got no faces on camera. And the only footage that's been released from it is the actual explosion. So you just see a barrel of something go boom.
Okay.
And blow the crap out of the front 2 rocks, damage the back 2 rocks, and damage the middle supporting pillar. And, so somebody blew up the rocks. Now, my theory, I don't think this was glowies, because they have no reason to go for a thing in the middle of Elberton, Georgia. You're not gonna get any kind of benefit by blowing up something that far out in the middle of nowhere.
Especially something so pointlessly stupid.
I think this was just a bunch of good old boys from the mountains. There's still plenty of moonshiners up there that can make black powder that just were like, I don't like them New World commie rocks in my backyard. And packed their powder up in their truck and drove it down there and blew it up for fun.
That or someone from the county just being absolutely fed up with dealing with these things.
That's the other realistic theory, because this thing is a blight on the county and drives the county insane if accounts are to be believed.
Yeah, because Oh, go on with the next bit.
Oh, because the county's one of them gone for so long, and the security camera footage is so dodgy that it would not be, and they knocked it over so quickly. Like, I understand wanting to clean this mess up pretty fast.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised. I thought that they were going to have a big whinge about it for like several weeks, where they vacillated on how they would deal with it.
No,
within hours, I'm looking at a video on my phone of like a backhoe knocking it over.
Yeah, I got the whole impression that the meeting went something like, "Oh well, now we've got to knock them down. What a shame! Get the backhoe." So yeah, there was no hesitation.
I give it 50-50 on either of these odds, although I like the rednecks from the mountains idea better.
It does have a certain more, well, not romantic. What's the opposite of romantic?
It really does sound like the sort of thing that gets inspired by consumption of moonshine, too.
Yeah.
So yeah, they went boom, and it's been a national story that everybody in Georgia who is not a commie has been laughing their butt off about.
And everyone else around the world seems to be deeply amused.
Yeah, well, the left is not amused. This was one of their sacred monuments. And I just want to point out, by the way, leftists, if you want to knock over monuments, this is how you do it.
You blow them up.
We are much better at it than you are.
It's funnier watching them try and pull a statue down and it lands on them and kills them.
Well,
yeah.
If you want my Spurg posting on this, you can go check the politics board on our Discord. I have videos of the explosion, and Vol posted the backhoe knocking them down, and I got the initial Fox 5 report in there, and you can go check out everything that went on with them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
if you want to destroy a monument, destroy ones that are a burden that nobody wants and has absolutely zero historical value. Enjoy.
Yes. So this is this was hilarious. So aside from laughing about that all week, the only other things in terms of video games that I did was I did my last few runs of the dungeon at the end of the second Baja Zone to finish my Paladin's relic weapon.
You're shiny now.
Yes, the weapon is very shiny. My Paladin glamour is complete for now, until I decide I want to change it up later. And yeah, that's all I did for Final Fantasy, really. A few roulettes in the afternoons. That's about it. I played a little bit of Monster Hunter. I think I'm 2 or 3 quests ahead of where we ended last week.
Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah, I didn't play very much. And the rest of it has been consumed dealing with a lightning strike and various other minor catastrophes that have happened this week.
Yes.
We had a lightning bolt strike the ground in the opossum's yard that popped a water vein.
A water vein, eh?
Yeah, and not vein, a water pipe. Water pipe. PVC pipe.
They're technically the same thing.
Yeah. So water main is a real word instead of water vein. That was in my head for some reason, but that is not what popped. So I don't know why I said water vein. And so yeah, lightning struck the ground. The water popped, or the PVC pipe popped, and the ground started flooding and bubbling up. And so we had to go cut the water off and dig a hole to it and get a contractor to come out and fix that. And this lightning bolt knocked out electronics at both my house and the opossum's house. A ton of stuff on the ground floor level of my house just exploded. Like, it won't take power no more. Everything that's not a microwave or a refrigerator or a television basically exploded. Or a lamp. Lamps didn't explode either.
Yeah, okay. Nothing that either doesn't take a whole lot of power or has a built-in protector.
However, things like stereos and routers did explode.
Yeah.
So I had to go get a new router, which was good because I've been wanting to get a router for a long time. And because I still live at home, I have to deal with autistic people not wanting me to replace the ISP-given router. So I finally had the perfect opportunity to make the sales pitch again.
Yeah.
and I was initially going to leave it till the next day, actually, and go sort it out then, because it happened pretty late, around 7 o'clock in the evening. And I was just going to go to bed without internet and fix it tomorrow morning. But my mother was so distraught not having internet, she's just like, please go to Walmart and get a router.
Go to get her Facebooks?
Yeah, and that's when I made the sales pitch and convinced the parents to shell out for a proper router that I didn't have to pay for, which was very, very nice.
Very nice.
So, there was that, and then there was the other thing that I posted a preview of in live show chat that has consumed the rest of my time because I've been too tired to even play games. I didn't want to watch any of the new anime. Nothing jumped out at me. I couldn't think of anything that I hadn't seen that I wanted to watch. So I threw a dart at a dartboard at stuff I'd watched before, and I landed on the best option possible, especially in current times.
Oh, yes. The strangest Gundam.
Yeah. So you know how Gundam normally about war is bad, politics are heavy, national political interests and the various colonies around in whatever Gundam universe you're at are very intense and deep, and there's a deep character chart with character relations everywhere. That is not the case with G Gundam. G Gundam is the greatest Gundam, and that's what the G actually stands for. Because G Gundam is a ham and cheese sandwich with extra ham.
Delicious.
It is ultra nationalism and stereotypes from those nations. The anime. And it is a glorious watch. So in this universe of Gundam, the war has ravaged the Earth, and it's gotten too out of hand, and the destruction got so bad that instead of engaging in proper war, each country elects a champion to go fight on their behalf in a mobile suit.
Which they just have lying around, apparently.
Well, they make them. But they apparently are very inspired by their own countries when they make them. And we'll get into the designs in a minute. And these people fight it out amongst each other whenever there's a conflict, and this is also how elections are held. Every 4 years, there is a great tournament at whoever won the last Grand Prix nation, and they duke it out in a preliminary fight, and then a battle royale. And whoever wins the battle royale at the end is the new president of the world for a little bit.
Why can't we do elections like that? I mean, it would make it so much better if we just added giant robots.
It would be, but it would also probably be more fair.
It'd be more fun, definitely.
So the joy of G Gundam is it has a coherent story. It has even a decent-ish story. But it kind of takes itself seriously in as so far as it treats its story beats like they're actual story beats and have emotional weight to them. But everything that surrounds that is just the biggest ball of ham shonen nonsense you've ever seen. And this can be best described in the mech designs for some of the countries. You have, like, one of the European countries just has a windmill for a Gundam.
It's got to be Holland.
Yeah, I think it's Neo Holland's Gundam. Australia has a kangaroo Gundam that is piloted by a literal kangaroo. And our main character has every time he does his signature attack, it's called the first half of the show. It's Shining Finger.
Oh no!
And he shouts it in both the sub and the dub at the top of his lungs. And when he gets the mid-season upgrade to his Gundam, it becomes Erupting Burning Finger. And he screams this, and they have this incredibly hammy, this hand of mine glows with an awesome power, its loud roar tells me to grasp victory. I think I mashed the two together, but, and they do that every single time before their signature attacks.
That sounds fantastically stupid. I love it.
And like, all the main Gundams can go literally Super Saiyan, where they turn gold. It is just a glorious watch to see the insanity this show gets up to. Like, there's a point where there's an episode where the Neo China representative, he's one of the 4 main good guys. They mentioned that the Shaolin Temple is going to come and support him at the big world tournament election thingy, and what they meant was the literal Shaolin Temple is going to be put on a boat, and they're going to row it out there with oarsmen to come support him with the people in the temple.
It's Gate Kun. He's back.
Yes, they put the whole temple on a boat.
That's probably a little bit better than putting it on a truck, but anyway.
And unlike other Gundams, there is no skill as a pilot, there is only skill as a martial artist, because this is the wacky Gundam that uses the mobile trace system, where they come up through the bottom and this latex suit gets applied to them with weird diodes all over it that translates their movements one-to-one while they're in this VR arena-style cockpit into the Gundam while they're inside the Gundam. And the Gundam can fight that way.
But nothing you're describing sounds anything like Gundam.
No, it really doesn't.
No, it was the first alternate continuity, I think, after the main Gundam continuity, when they finally said, okay, we got to get new people into this because people are starting to wonder what the heck's going on anytime they tune in, if they haven't been following since the beginning.
Yeah.
So they tried to do just something totally different and accidentally made something absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It reminds me, actually, there was another really weird Gundam series I found where all the Gundams were little chibi robots for some reason. I forget what that one was called.
The Builders series is established as a thing. That's been going for a bit. I think it only had one anime though.
Yeah, that was certainly strange as well.
But yeah, G Gundam was a one and done. Like it was too far of a departure for Gundam for them to keep it going. But everybody still loved it because it was so stupid that you couldn't not love it.
Perhaps the booze budget got too high.
Yeah, they were smoking something when they made this, and they just kept hitting that bong harder and harder as the show goes on. You have like martial artists who can. The most infamous scene is Damon Kashu, our protagonist, and Master Asia, his mentor, are trapped underground near the end of the second big arc, and they need to get out immediately because water's rushing at them. And what do? Well, there's this collapsed skyscraper that's poking through the road above us. Let's both just kick it really hard with no Gundams, just with their regular feet, and launch into space with it.
As you do.
When Domo needs to get to Neo Hong Kong, which already puts a dent in the realism of the show, unfortunately. To get there in time because he's on the other side of the world, there's a giant wrestling ring that encircles the Earth, and so he jumps as hard as he can into the wrestling ring that surrounds the Earth and launches himself like a slingshot off of it towards Neo Hong Kong.
A giant wrestling ring then circles the Earth.
Yes.
And that's just a thing?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I need to watch this.
Yes, you do. The first 13-ish episodes were them. It feels like them feeling out what they wanted, where they were going with this, and then they eventually threw their hands up in the air about at that point and said, "F it." They grabbed 4 of the characters from the first 13 episodes, made them the the side characters and stuck them with Domon as the protagonists, and just rolled with the story from there.
Oh no, it sounds glorious. I love it.
So the first 13 can be a little bit of a slog, but it's a 90s anime, so it goes by really fast.
Yeah.
It's very easy to binge watch, especially if you have it on the other monitor while you're doing other stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a really bad experience with Gundam, so I lost all interest in it because I had never watched any Gundam before, and I just decided at random to watch whatever was the latest one when I had the time to, and that was in the mid-2000s, which meant that Gundam Seed was the first Gundam that I watched.
Oh.
So 100 episodes of incredibly constipated, whiny, emo bullcrap.
Yes.
There are some pants-on-head retarded moments in this one from our protagonist, he is written like a 90s shonen protagonist who has no social skills whatsoever. Like, the dude is actually autistic by normal standards. But he is not too whiny, and he tries to get over his problems at least. And he realizes self-improvement is the way to go from the beginning. In fact, whiny isn't how I would describe Domon at all. He's stupid, but not whiny.
It sounds like everyone in
not-
this anime is stupid, at least to some degree.
The representative from Neo America is called Chibity Crockett, and he pilots the Gundam Maxter. That's a boxing cowboy.
That sounds incredible.
It is. And he has his harem of girls with him too that follow him around as his pit crew for the Gundam, and they're actually all legitimate characters that have a personality and all actually like him, and it's not some subverted he's actually abusing them nonsense. And when the Glowies come in to try and disrupt his fight with Domon, he jumps up, smacks the Glowies airplanes, and tells them how big an embarrassment they are to his country.
America.
So much.
Like, you go, Chivity. So yeah, this is a series that I recommend for everything that is not Gundam. There is no Gundam in this Gundam, other than the robot designs, in that their rough outlines have the same Gundam face and arm shape.
They Gundam-esque.
Yeah, they're Gundam-esque. That said, of all the looking Gundams, the Shining Gundam and the Burning Gundam still are the best looking Gundams I've seen from Mobile Fighter Gundam.
Yeah.
The franchise as a whole. They just look really good. I'll post a picture of Burning Gundam if I can find it.
It's kind of the reason why I never really got into Gundam is because it tends to get a bit too heavy sometimes. A lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, this one has a serious story that it's telling. It just doesn't. It leaves it up to you to decide how seriously you want to take it.
Yeah, so I like that.
It is it also Burning Gundam, Neo Japan's Gundam. The Domon pilots is also America colored. That probably also helps.
Well, yeah.
Posted it in live show chat. But yeah, it's a ride. I recommend people check it out. If they don't like Gundam, it's not really gonna matter because it's not really a Gundam show. It was their first foray into experimenting outside the main continuity, and it is the polar opposite of what Gundam is. It is more shonen than any shonen anime you've watched. It is so shonen it loops right back around into being parody without actually intending to be a parody.
It sounds glorious.
It's wonderful.
Oh, hello. My frame rate's
just-
starting to chug a little bit.
Just chew through those first 13 episodes, but it's a 90s anime, so it goes by pretty quick. And then you're off to the races. Literally a couple times.
Of course.
Because it wouldn't be a 90s anime without a race episode.
Yep. So, that is G Gundam, and I just felt I should evangelize a bit on the amazingness that is that one Gundam series. And it will always be my favorite Gundam series, even though it has nothing to do with Gundam.
My frame rate. Why?
Yeah, I've heard it's got a frame rate issue.
Yeah.
Once you get the lots of enemies on screen with multiple collab effects going, it can start chug-a-lugging.
I haven't
even
gotten
on
any
my system.
collab effects going yet. It's just the multiple enemies. Like,
Yeah,
there's
I
a
can-
lot of enemies, though.
Yeah, this is made by one guy, so it's not optimized.
Oh, yeah.
And it just got released, so it's got a few chug-a-lug issues when a lot of enemies show up.
Yeah, that should hopefully be fixed out with time.
Yeah. So yeah.
I can see this lasting a lot longer than Vampire Survivor, honestly.
Yeah, it's just got more to do. With just the unique character stuff in it makes it more stickable because you can learn different characters.
It's also got waifus.
And they're also, cute girls, which wins.
Yeah. Never underestimate the power of waifus. Alright, I might have to pause this so I can line up a break.
Yep.
Yeah, there we
So, let's go to some music, and we will be right back. And we're back.
We are. And unfortunately, Guru got smushed at the moment I unpaused it. But on the plus side, I can now unlock a new character.
I gotcha.
From the council. Hope. Who do I get? Gotcha. Crony.
Crony is... I can't get her to work.
Alright.
Yeah, you need a certain amount of good fortune generally, but she does have some very effective abilities. Like her special just stops time, so you can get yourself out of a fix pretty effectively. And she just does a lot of sort of pulsing AOE.
Okay, she stabbed forward with a large clock hand and a random target with a smaller clock hand. Okay. So she's essentially a clock waifu.
She's not really got any. She doesn't have really a strong specialization. So, yeah.
Right. I like a lot of these characters. Like Guru's okay. Once you get her whirlpools going, she's fun. Her shark call's not that great compared to some of the others.
The shark bite debuff becomes very, very strong once you realise that everything applies it, and there are a lot of abilities that hit very, 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 very many times for very, very little damage. Mm-hmm. So once you've got like AoE poison clouds everywhere, everything on the map ends up with having maximum stacks all the time.
Yep.
So you basically have a flood of health coming in, because even though the amount of health you get is trivial, it's on so many things later on that you just get a lot of health out of it.
Yeah. I tried Inaros, however you pronounce it.
Ina.
She tentacles things.
Ina is hard to play because of the way her pacify works. Just nothing else to add there. She's just hard to play because that pacify is really wonky.
Alright. I'll give Crony a go and see how this goes.
We need to try and get Fauna or Mume and max out Mume's default weapon ASAP.
Right.
It's basically useless until you do.
and get one rank of friend, so he can pick up stuff for you.
I have friends.
Friend is a bag. He's a paper sack that's upside down with ghost eyes.
Oh, I see. I don't see.
It's basically a Western version of a Shikigami.
Fair enough, I suppose. All right. Ari, did you have anything else for your week?
No. Although I did find remember that the mid-season mentor is a German ninja in a Santa hat, and I posted a picture of that for G Gundam.
All right, now we've got time throwing time bubbles everywhere. This is okay. Wait a minute, Chronicopter.
There's a gag that the sort of the halo clock that hovers above Crony's head was actually helicopter blades.
I see. So yeah, more memes.
They need to make a passive for her called "Can't Unclock Yourself," because the meme with Holocure specifically has been that Crony cannot unlock herself.
Oh no! Now we're getting into puns.
Ina would love it.
Probably. One of these days, I might actually have to sit down and properly watch some HoloLive stuff, but that's a rabbit hole right there.
You're not really supposed to properly watch it. It's supposed to be background material.
Yeah, properly watch it put it on the second screen.
Yeah,
that's how you properly watch it.
Watch some of the clip compilations I've put in the anime manga channel to get started.
Yeah. I might do that at one point. Alright, do we have any news this week? We do, actually.
I did a dump of what I could find. Some of it's interesting, some of it's just current events, and some of it's just status updates.
Yeah. So, I suppose while we're talking current events, we can give an update on everybody's favourite show that's going on at the moment. The Elon Musk show.
Oh, yes. So, the Elon Musk show is ending its current arc with Musk pulling out of the Twitter buyout because they refuse to disclose the actual amount of bots to him after 2 months.
What I find most amusing is Twitter is threatening to sue at this point.
Well, the thing is that the independent investigation that was conducted by Musk's people found that something like 8% or less than 8% of the accounts on Twitter were actually active within the last month. Mm-hmm. And that's counting all of the bots.
Yeah.
So the actual, what is actually being represented to the shareholders by Twitter is not true.
Yeah.
And if Musk were to buy out Twitter, then he would be on the hook for any lawsuits, which then come down the pipe.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I can't see Twitter going anywhere if they try to sue Musk for pulling out because, yeah.
They're trying to clap back, and they might get him into California court because California courts are California courts. But he'll almost certainly win once he gets past the district level of appeals.
Oh yeah.
The thing is that, unlike most wealthy people, Musk is not an idiot. Like he knows what he's doing. If he's taking this particular tack, he probably has a very good reason for doing this, either because he sees a much, much larger risk, such as being on the hook for a bunch of lawsuits, or this is just part of a greater strategy to do more damage to Twitter and bring their value down.
Yeah. Well, as a result of this pullout, I believe their stocks dropped down to about $25 now. I have to double check it. But that's well under half of what Musk's current offer is per share.
Yeah. It could also be an attempt to get him if he's really playing 4D chess here and he really still wants to buy Twitter, he could be trying to use this lawsuit to get a settlement where he pays much less than his offer to continue with the deal.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, they already had some agreements in place about penalties for pulling out, but they were all sort of, in their own ways, contingent on good faith.
They were. But, yeah, Musk could easily make the argument because of, well, you guys haven't fulfilled your part of the deal, you get nothing.
The thing is that there is no way that Musk didn't know that they had no intention of acting in good faith.
Oh yeah, he would have known this going in from day one.
So that would have been factored in. The fact that he knew that they were not going to act in good faith, despite the fact that there was an agreement in place regarding acting in good faith, that would have been part of the calculation.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's been a fun little chapter. I'm interested to see what the next one's going to be. I think we'll find out probably sometime in the next week.
Yeah, like it's not really the season end, I don't think. Like this is just like the turning point here. Like who knows which way it will go. Maybe the story will end here, depending on how the various players decide to act. But it may have a great deal more to go yet.
Yeah, if it does end here as far as Musk is concerned, I could probably see Twitter just collapsing under its own weight at this point. We can hope. The world would be a lot better without Twitter in its current form. So,
yeah, if this whole 4D chess move was to break Twitter, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much happier the world would be without Twitter?
Yeah, like
it's been studied in detail, and social media does make people unhappy, and I'm not talking about on average. Like, it has the psychological effect of making you less happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it puts you in a constant state of comparison with others, and it puts you in an anonymous environment where everybody is drive sniping at each other, drive by tweeting at each other, because you can't have any real discussions on Twitter.
No, you can't.
It's specifically built to impede such behaviour.
You're also constantly being bombarded with an endless string of just bad news, honestly.
Well, yeah, and it's good for the you know how most people only read the headlines? Well, Twitter is like if there is only the headline.
Yeah, that's all you're getting is the headline.
There's no room to post anything else.
Right. Yeah, compared to what social media could be, it ain't doing that. And also,
I don't think we need-
I think social media in general is bad.
Oh yeah, it is.
I would be quite happy with social media just disappearing entirely.
Yeah.
Because it's a train that I never got on. Like, I could have. There were plenty of opportunities in my life where I could have. I wasn't adverse to interacting with people. It just seemed icky.
Yeah. Like, I've been pushed in trying to be on it a few times, and every time I've kind of spent a day poking at things and said, what's the point of this? And moved on.
Yeah, Vol's used it the most out of all of us.
Yeah.
Well, I've only used Twitter though. I've never had a Facebook or anything like that. Like, I don't. I only use Twitter functionally as an announcement feed for people who produce content I'm interested in. Typically,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't use it as in a social capacity. Like I use it for things like I follow a guy who says what saints in the church are commemorated on this day each day. Like that's the sort of thing I use it for. As a calendar.
Yeah. Like, yeah, there's people who say the whole idea is that social media could revolutionize how people communicate, but which it has, but
In the wrong way.
in the wrong way. Yeah, the whole idealistic world where social media controls everything is reliant on one big flawed premise, and that's that humans are not humans.
Yeah, well, and because social media has to be run by a person or people, it's going to run into the problem where certain ideas are just going to get promoted and other ones are going to get squished. And if it becomes the new public square, you're just kind of screwed.
It's not run by people, it's run by Californians.
That's true.
Yeah.
They are treated legally as people, unfortunately. But when I become dictator of the USA, that will change. Oh, that one's going to come back to bite me one day.
Probably. So, all right. So that's that. It's just an amusing anecdote at this point. I'm interested to see where it goes, but it's been a fun ride just to keep watching this whole thing and honestly watch how it tries to ruin the whole thing.
I said at the beginning, even if nothing comes of this, then the breakdown that the Twitterati had immediately once it was first announced was worth it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was
Not to mention, if Elon wasn't already red-pilled, this definitely red-pilled him.
Oh yeah. He already had a fairly good idea of what he was walking into, but yeah.
Well, I don't think he quite understood just how venomous the left is right now.
Yeah, I think he had an image of like garden variety corporate corruption rather than ideological corruption.
Yeah. Like, I think he would have had some idea that, yeah, there was an ideological corruption going on, but I don't think he realised just how... what's the word for it? Insipid, maybe?
Insane.
No, insipid means bland.
Yeah, okay, that's the opposite of that.
I think what you meant was insidious.
Thank you, that's the word I was looking for. I speak English, yes, I does. So, yeah.
I speak American, I don't know about you.
I speak Queen's English, thank you so very much.
Queen's English, yes.
So, yes.
It has actually been, on that Phoenix Wright game, it has been a bit jarring to see a game use the Queen's English.
Oh, use for color?
Yes, where things are actually spelt correctly.
Well, it's like that in most of FF14.
It is actually, yes.
Not entirely though, and I'm not quite sure why. There's a mixture as used.
Yeah, but by and large, after they got out of the ye olde talk phase of Realm Reborn...
No, I'm talking about spellings as well.
Yeah. But after
I
that, they kind of gravitate more towards the English spelling.
I would imagine it's probably because there are probably a bunch of Americans on localization team, and until somebody reminds us that we spell stuff weird, we don't think about it.
You do spell stuff weird. Stop spelling stuff weird.
There is no official spelling for the word y'all, just by the way.
That's because it's not in a word.
There are 3, and they are perfectly acceptable, and I picked the one that is the most grammatically wrong.
Alright, what other little news nuggets do we have?
If we
that's
want
all
to
we've
stay
got
on
this
the
week is
real,
nuggets.
well, yeah, if we want to stay on the real world events related to gaming and hobbies in general, the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh died.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, Kazuki Takahashi. We have no idea how it happened. He was found washed up on the shore, face down, with a snorkel.
Huh.
So, the current theory is he just died in some horrible snorkeling accident. But we don't know.
He went out snorkeling on his own and had some sort
Yeah,
of
he-
mishap.
He was on some vacation in Okinawa by himself and went snorkeling and didn't come back.
That's why
Didn't-
people always recommend that when you go into the water, you have someone with you.
Didn't Australia have like a prime minister who just sort of went out into the ocean and never came back?
Yes, yes, we did. That was. I don't remember his name now. Was it Menzies? No, it wasn't Menzies. I might have to look it up now. But yeah, we had a prime minister who just went out swimming and never came back, never found the body, just gone.
Is he going to like return on Australia's time of greatest need like King Arthur?
That would be now. So
He's a little late.
What, are
yeah.
you saying you don't have faith in Albanese?
I have as much faith in Albanese as I do in the owners of Twitter to make a sensible decision. So no,
That's negative.
that is negative faith. Yeah, he's entertaining Ardern. I'm not going to say it is Ardern's suggestion because only she could come up with something this stupid. The right for New Zealand citizens to vote in Australian elections, but not vice versa.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I think that Ardern is just sort of reaching the end of her arc of being able to disguise herself as a thinking human being.
I think that time has passed. Yes.
Like, it's just I could sort of understand where she was coming from with her other proposal about extradition. Because we do have a lot of New Zealanders who live their entire lives in Australia and then get extradited to New Zealand the second they commit a crime.
Yeah.
And that's a huge pain in the backside for us because they've got nowhere to go and they don't know anything about New Zealand and we've got to somehow try them in our court system and find something to do with them.
Yes. There was
Which
also
is a pain.
the old boondoggle of how New Zealanders and Australians get citizenship in each other's country. You don't. It's because there's it's a relic.
You've got a
of the days
special
when you could-
residential status or something, right?
Yeah, but you couldn't. There was no actual process in order to become a citizen of the opposite country. It's just because everyone assumed, yeah, you just go back and forth. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, because we've got a almost open border.
Yeah,
Like, there's
a lot,
no
lot less
real.
open than it used to be.
You don't need to apply for a visa or anything like that. Yeah, well, I mean that's Jacinda's fault largely.
Largely, yes.
At least you have an ocean there to stem the tide.
We does.
Or bead the tide.
Yes, it is literally the tide. So yeah, let's not get too bogged down on that. But I don't have any faith in Albanese at all, whatsoever. Although watching,
Yeah.
what's her name, Lydia Thorpe having a meltdown every other day is proving interesting.
That's basically her only marketable skill is having meltdowns.
Yeah, it's just to show how an absolutely revolting human being she is.
Like, does she even have a level-headed mode?
No,
Because she just seems to be in meltdown all the time.
she's constantly in crazy mode. I think I'm actually starting to think people only elected her just purely for the entertainment value.
Well, her histrionics clearly have worked, so how would she know anything else? If you got something that works, you're not motivated to change it.
Yeah.
It got her power.
She's basically an even less photogenic version of Occasional Cortex for Australia.
Occasional Cortex at least occasionally talks sense.
No, she doesn't.
No, she doesn't.
Well, okay. That's being generous, but
No, it's not just, it's a flat lie.
Occasional Cortex has like handlers.
yeah,
So
that's probably a bit better way of doing it.
It's more like occasionally she won't say the wrong thing at the wrong time. She usually will. but occasionally somebody will stop her.
Yes. Occasionally someone will wrap her on the cortex, perhaps.
Yes.
Lydia Thorpe has no such safeguards. She's just all nuts all the time.
Yeah. Occasional Cortex is less histrionic and more just vapid and stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, genuinely stupid. Like, this should be a crime to be this dumb.
The photo reel should not have the photographs on it that show that you were pretending to cry outside a fence. Like, it should not contain those photos. It should only have the ones that have been doctored.
Anywho, gaming. What do we have?
We were still on that one. So yeah, sad that Kazuki died, but
I deeply resent the existence of inferior Yu-Gi-Oh card stock and the completely dissimilar card size that it has to every other TCG.
Why is that?
Yeah. He's the mangaka and the creator of the universe. He's not the guy that made the cards.
Yeah, I know, but that's what Yu-Gi-Oh represents to me. It represents a non-conformity to the standard.
Yeah, we got our own special sleeves. We got our own special deck boxes.
And the card stock is inferior.
Yeah, don't get them wet.
So what this is all basically saying to me is somebody wanted to save a bucket somewhere.
Yes. But yeah. I wonder if we'll find out more about the tragic snorkeling accident, because
so.
this is very sad, because I do like Yu-Gi-Oh! But it's also very funny, because it's a snorkeling accident.
But is this guy responsible for, say, Jade and Yuki?
I don't know if he was involved in GX or not.
Because that's a crime that needs to be answered for.
He was the original mangaka, so I don't think so.
So he's responsible for Pegasus.
He's responsible for Pegasus, yes.
Yes, he is responsible for Pegasus.
But on the other side, he's responsible for Bandit Keith.
Also, yes.
And Kaiba.
And Kaiba. Seto mother flippin' Kaiba. So yeah. It's a real shame to lose someone like that. He brought people a lot of fun.
Yeah, so
And memes.
continuing.
And
Mostly
memes.
memes.
So continuing with the real world news, I'll make a passing mention of it at least, because it would feel wrong not to say something. I think Shinzo Abe died.
Also, we mentioned it at the start of the show, but he was not Metal Geared. Please stop.
Yeah, please stop saying Hideo Kojima killed him. Actually, no, I take that back. Keep saying Hideo Kojima killed him. This is actually hilarious.
Well, I think Kojima's starting to look at lawsuits now, so there's that.
I think that would be a good development, actually, because I think media companies don't get sued often enough for telling outright lies.
They really should be sued more. That sort of thing.
The AP had to fact check it.
The AP.
Someone should have fact checked it before anything happened.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the thing that happened. And it was not done with a proper shotgun, you rubes.
Nobody thinks it was done by a proper shotgun. Proper shotguns aren't made out of tape and pipe.
Okay, you know that. I know that. The people in the mainstream media, though, are deliberately avoiding showing pictures of the thing unless they got some weird way to twist it. And I've seen multiple people who are claiming, and a couple people that talked to me that said, how do you get a shotgun in Japan?
By making one out of duct tape and pipe, apparently?
It's not hard to do.
It's a boom tube.
No, the most common name for them is a zip gun. But it's basically, it's a tube that you muzzle load, and you use basically battery-powered igniters to set the powder off. And they're only useful over a very, very short distance, and are as much of a danger to the person using it as the target, but sometimes they go the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't sound like something you'd want to use.
And actually, it appears the first shot he fired didn't, because Abe didn't react at all to the first shot. It was but the security didn't look like they knew what was going on or what this guy was doing, and just let him walk closer, and the second shot got him.
Yeah, I enjoyed Larry Correa's thread raging about it, about Joe Biden's response to it.
Oh no.
Correa was not best pleased, I would say.
That's... yeah. In only the way Correa can be.
Yeah, and Correa is a closet weeb. So,
That's a very... well, it's a closet, but he leaves the door open.
yeah, he doesn't openly advertise his weebiness, but if you read his books,
He's
oh
totally
boy, does he love he loves Japanese culture.
He is an absolute weeb.
Yeah,
He is-
I linked the thread in live show chat if anyone wants to see him freaking out over Joe Biden being a shill.
Did Biden at least use actual words this time?
No.
Well, he read the wrong words from his cards, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he flubbed this one too. I didn't watch the whole response.
I think I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the thing either. But apparently, in one of them, he said "repeat line" instead of actually repeating the line, because he is obviously senile, and I don't understand how there's anybody who hasn't noticed yet.
Cough and fall down dead. I missed that. Love that episode of Futurama.
Oh, it's
Farnsworth
that
does
is literally
exactly
what
that.
the media doesn't show it, but that's literally what half of Joe's press conferences are like.
Yeah.
He will read the stage instructions out loud.
Yeah. Which is
Or he
amusing, or it would be a lot more amusing if this wasn't the President of the United States.
I'm sincerely surprised that he hasn't got notes written on his cards telling him to continue breathing at this stage.
Oh yeah, I posted a picture of one of his cards that got somebody snapped a picture of I think it was a few weeks ago.
Oh, the
It's
one
just
with you take your seat.
yeah, with capitalized and bolded letters for emphasis in certain spots. Like, Joe needs to be babysat. He doesn't need to be... He's not in charge of anything.
Yeah. Anywho.
So yeah, that is that. It was very sad news. Abe is generally well liked by most people.
Who was Japan's longest-serving prime minister. Very popular, generally speaking. He had a lot of corruption scandals, but so does everyone in Japanese politics, especially. Because Japanese politics, it's sort of hard to tell how much influence it has on Japanese polity, because the perception from a lot of people from outside is that essentially Japanese politics happens in the back room, and what happens out the front is sort of window dressing to keep the people happy and to maintain sort of a general veneer of being a democratic country, and that most of what happens depends on which of the oligarchs are your friends. But it's arguable whether this is different to anyone else. So, but yeah, he is most famous probably for being a pro-natalist, anti-CCP, right-wing leader. So basically everything that the current establishment hates.
Mm-hmm. Alright. That's too many deaths this week.
Yeah, it's been a week of losing people.
Yeah.
So I think there was somebody else who died too, who I'm brain farting on.
I think there was, but I can't remember who it was.
So yeah, that's your weekly kill count.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last I think we should probably move on from that, so we have time to get the other stuff.
Let's do it.
The next thing is just an update on the Blizzard tomfoolery. This one doesn't have anything to do with the legal disputes. It was just funny. Because of the Roe v. Wade thing, they're having a walkout.
Oh, again.
Because because
I'm surprised they bother to go back in, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the greatest thing since Blizzard cleared themselves of wrongdoing.
Yeah. So they're basically the employees are unhappy with the passing of Roe v. Wade that doesn't affect them in California, or the repeal of Roe v. Wade rather.
But it gives them double plus ungood belly feel, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. They have decided Blizzard does not accommodate pregnant employees enough, and are making a laundry list of demands for pregnant employees
Why is it always the list of demands?
and LGBTQ employees because you gotta cram the rainbow in there somewhere.
But the LGBTQ employees are literally not involved in pregnancy in any way.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't have
You-
to.
So yeah, just to do on Blizzard, they're still being Blizzard.
Yeah, well, they're just simply living out the consequences of the culture that they built for themselves out there.
Oh, it just unlocked
Yep.
virus. Yeah, they're still in denial about people's opinions on Diablo Immortal. They had an article the other day promoting, saying, well, there's only a small subset of people who are not liking it. Look, we have a 4.5-star rating on iTunes.
Yeah.
But then you look at Android.
The reality is that they are the only market they cared about was China, and China won't let them sell it.
Yes. Because
So,
someone made a Pooh Bear joke.
Well, that's the rumor. I don't know if it's been confirmed that that's the reason.
Yeah, it's assumed at this point to be the reason. Or at least part of the
Right.
reason.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was something that stupid.
It's happened before.
But yeah, this is what you get, Blizzard. I mean, you had the misfortune of being a California-based company to begin with, but then you chose to embrace the California culture, and this is what you get.
Do not embrace California. Just don't.
Well, arguably, it's not that they embrace the California culture at some point. It's more that they were always part of the California culture, and the culture changed to be this.
Yeah.
Like, I know that there used to be, Blizzard North and that, which
Yes.
the other Blizzard studios were diluting the culture, but now that power is centralized off in the in California, it's not quite so effective. Although, I mean, I suppose they took in Proletariat now. They bought out Proletariat, and I think their studio is in New York. Or no, Boston. It's in Boston, if I recall.
It's New England. It's in that New England bubble. It's just as bad as Cali. Well, it's not as bad as Cali, but it's still
nowhere
pretty
is
close.
as bad as Cali except Seattle.
That's worse than Cali somehow. Well, actually,
and Portland.
Portland's worse than Cali.
Yeah,
Seattle's about equivalent.
Portland is basically gangland at this point.
It's a lawless heck hole. Is what Portland is. So yeah, just continuing our Blizzard beating. The horse has been long dead, and we're beating on a skeleton now. But until it's ground to dust, I'm gonna keep beating on it.
Yeah.
All right, I got two more little ones.
All right. Fire away.
We'll start with the one that we might get some tension off first. Magic has decided they have a new gimmick to stay hip with the kids.
Oh no.
I am profoundly disgusted.
So, it's not uncommon for card games to release alternate art cards of popular base set or staple cards that are part of some crossover promotion.
That happens all the time.
If you hadn't looked at the show host board, would you have thought it was Fortnite that Magic would pick, though?
Well, if you know who WotC are now, then yes.
Yeah. Like,
If we're talking about WotC from 15 years ago, you would be heartbroken.
Like, I saw it, and I saw it as a Fortnite crossover, and I just thought, of course it is. Of course it is.
So yeah, they have unique names, but they're just retrains of or reprints of older cards like Wrath of God and stuff. Oh, it says their name underneath it to clarify the name of the card. So yeah, Grim Tutor, Planar Bridge, Ethereum Sculptor, Dance of Many, Triumph of the Hordes,
Are they
Smuggler's
tournament
Copter.
usable?
I would assume so, since they have the exact same effect. It's just alternate art.
Yeah, well, so does a proxy, but you can't use those in a tournament, can you?
I don't know. I haven't looked into the legality of the card.
But It's just like, oh, you moved the next step down the road. I see. Is basically what it looks like to me. Like, their star has been. It started falling a long time ago, and it never stopped. Like, after like about Theros, I would say it was all downhill from there. They started focusing more and more on their wokery and so on and so forth, and the rumblings of it were there beforehand. Like the amount of spurging that they had over trying to get women into playing MTG. Number one, there are plenty of women playing MTG already who want to play MTG. And number two, the ones who don't want to play MTG, they don't need to play it. It's fine.
They don't want to.
They can do other things that they want to do. Nobody has ever told them that they aren't allowed to be around. You need a certain amount of ability to be resilient against, like, nerd funk in order to to live in that environment, to participate in that environment, because men are stinky creatures, and nerds often stinkier than average.
Take a damn shower.
Are there people who don't shower every day? Is that a thing?
Yes.
I only shower once every 36 showers.
I am in one of the prime industries to tell you that, yes, these people exist. I am actually nose-blind to them, so I probably have a nice tolerance to the nerd funk.
The thing about my job is, how would I know?
Yeah, you walk around in actual poo.
Yeah, like, we have hazmat suits that are there because the stuff is so stanky and gross that you can't touch it.
Yeah.
And so we cannot smell the funk on other people.
Yeah, and I'm just nose blind to people who smell like poo. So,
Well,
yeah.
I need to keep the snoot in reasonable condition where possible, since it's a useful tool for my job. Like, it's actually, I find it much easier to pick up the presence of Campylobacter by scent rather than by observing.
Yeah. Other than that, though, I'd say it's actually a pretty handy superpower to become nose blind to bad smells. On the other hand, though, when you do find a bad smell, usually a bad smelling person who penetrate it, oh boy.
Well, it's a lessened effect for you, although you feel bad for everybody else around you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
it's called the smell of money, Fern. That's what the opossum would tell me whenever we first started going to job sites.
In your case, it is.
anyway,
In my case, it's usually a warning sign that this person has no money.
He's been doing crossovers with a bunch of things. Like, they did a Godzilla one, I think, something like that a while back.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that, like, if you start out without the intention of doing regular crossovers as a thing, and then you change to do so, that shows a shift in your priorities to money. So
Yeah, but the occasional
Yeah.
crossover is a lot of fun. But if you do it, you cross over with everyone like Fortnite does, it kind of loses its appeal.
like, the thing is that Magic has such a bottomless ability in their setting to just create settings for themselves. Crossing over is a wholly redundant activity in a lot of ways. So when you're doing it, it's purely for the cash grab value. Like, the one crossover I recall them doing was a Three Kingdoms thing.
Yeah.
If you want to call crossing over with Chinese literature
Well, yeah.
a crossover. But they did a way back when they did a Three Kingdoms set. But other than that, they've just come up with their own stuff generally.
Yeah, like they've got a constant crossover now with Dungeons and Dragons.
Wait, because they're owned by WotC, but
yeah,
they don't.
So they're both in the same multiverse now.
But there's no like, I don't think there's like a Minsk card. Like,
There needs to be a Minsk card. There
well, I
needs to be
mean,
more
if you're
Minsk.
gonna go full retard, I guess you might as well. But
Yeah. More the point,
like,
that the crossover is stronger going the other way.
I just don't. I don't have any respect for them as a company anymore. Like, their obsessive focus on wokery and changing the text on cards in order to accommodate the sensitive feelings of people who dislike gendered language and that sort of thing, as though that makes any sense to begin with. But they're based in Seattle. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. We used to have a nice place to keep all these woke people in nerdery. It was called Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, they were. Well, Vampire the Masquerade is about that, though.
Yeah.
Like, depending on how you play it, like, you can play it properly, well, properly circa 10 years ago,
Yes.
where it's actually about vampire politics. But ultimately, Vampire the Masquerade is most chiefly played in the form of extremely elaborate ballroom-style LARPs.
Yes.
Everything is people trying not to tread on other people's toes lest they bite you.
Talking through
So-
fake plastic teeth.
Yeah, so it's not like it makes sense for wokery to go there, because wokery doesn't make sense anywhere since postmodernism objects to the idea of making sense to begin with. But it does, you can slot it in there relatively innocuously, because a vampire taking offense at another vampire really doesn't need to have anything to do with sense. So
Vampires are looking to always start an argument. It's just what they do. Let's face it.
Oh, the AP's at it again.
What?
They fact-checked another one.
Oh no.
They fact-checked that Shinzo Abe did not post that he had information on Hillary Clinton.
that's a meme. Did they fact check a meme?
I
Yeah,
think they might have.
I just posted it in the politics board.
And then they just journalismed everywhere.
They did a journalism.
The thing that bothers me is that the credibility of a fact checker comes from the fact that they have declared themselves to be a fact checker.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we
that's
could-
their whole source of credibility.
That seems to be their only qualification, is because I said so.
See, we here at No Excuses are the most trusted source in fact-checking, and therefore we are now a fact-checking company.
Because we said so. Exactly.
Because we said so. Therefore, we're now an authoritative source you can source to all your friends.
Yeah, and you just forget about the fact that we get about 8 things wrong every week.
That's a good
Only 8.
That's a good one.
I'd say on average it's about 8, because a lot of the time we're just talking about our opinions.
That's fair.
Still better than the fact-checkers. Anyway, that was something I saw that just totally derailed my brain.
Yeah.
I felt I needed to drag y'all off the train tracks with me.
Yeah. There was EA failing to meme this week.
What'd they do?
They put out a meme saying, basically making fun of a game for being a single-player game. And everyone dragged up those old series of posts from 10 years ago nearly, where EA was declaring that single-player games were dead. So in retaliation to this, some bigwig at EA decided, let's talk to our subsidiary studios and have them meme and joke on our crappy Twitter post. All that came across as was that EA's sub-studios was sick of their crap and were just lashing out at this point. So that was a very brief, very stupid thing.
Yeah, you gotta remember, these corpo exec types don't have social skills. They had one or two of the right friends, or they failed their way up to the top. The very few of them are run by people these days that successfully manage to build the business up themselves. When you get to these big giant corpos like EA.
Yeah.
In fact, the person that did build it up probably got voted off the board by a bunch of Chinese communists.
So, that's that. But, yeah, I hadn't really intended on talking about that one, but... Yeah.
So, we have the one more in here that we might be able to get something out of, but this is just a more of we told you so. Because it's something we've been worried about for a while.
Alright, far away.
So, Sony is now deleting content from PlayStation libraries when the licensing gets too hairy. This is starting just with this one movie company, but we all know as soon as the ball gets rolling on stuff like this, it doesn't stop.
Happened with Apple.
Yeah. So, what's the company's... I don't watch their movies. It's the company that made the American Gods TV series, I think. Studio Canal. Studio Canal? It's all one word, so I have no idea how to pronounce it. But, Yeah, they cite they will have to remove it from people's accounts due to the evolving license agreements with content providers, which means they couldn't renew the license, and part of the agreement made it too dangerous to keep on their platform, so they had to boot it off. And this means if you bought these movies, you can't re-download them.
And I assume there's no refund and no crediting.
Very likely. So, because the license has been around for a while. So, Sony, it's only a hop, skip, and a jump before you start playing this to Vidya. I mean, I get that they killed their whole movie section on PlayStation, specifically because Hollywood licensing is a nightmare.
Yes.
But once they start rolling with this, I can't imagine they won't be tempted to just delete things they don't want to pay the license for that they don't see as profitable from people's accounts. Because we don't actually own the stuff.
Nope, it's all there on lease, essentially.
Yeah, this is what everybody's always been afraid about with Steam, and the day that Gabe Newell bites the dust, I don't know if we'll have any games left in our libraries.
Har fiddle
Because
dee.
realistically, he personally serves as a bulwark against a lot of the worst things that Steam could choose to do.
Hopefully, when that day comes, he has a successor all lined up who will continue that philosophy.
Even within, it's you gotta hope that guy is just as grounded in the same beliefs, and that's if he exists in the first place. And then he has to be approved.
Out.
And then he has to be approved by the board. I'm sure Steam has some equivalent to a board. I don't know how their company structure is set up.
Yeah, thankfully they're not publicly traded, so
Yeah, they
that's how
still have to
Gabe's
get
been able to
approved.
Keep it going.
So you'd have to hope that Gabe could con the current top XX of the company into going with it, and then you'd be okay. But otherwise, it'd be a slow leak until eventually we start losing licenses on Steam. Which at which point I have no qualms with putting the Skull and Crossbones up. You've already got my money.
Yeah, and I think if they do start removing content from people's libraries, then that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, you will see the
You thought raise the black flag.
You thought the Pirate Bay was a problem? Just wait.
Just you wait.
just you wait. Honest Bob's got a new site ready and waiting to go. It'll be more popular, bigger than ever before.
Callie, no.
You got squished.
I got squished. Oh, Idle Song. Okay, now I'm starting to unlock more weapons and stuff.
Yep.
Stop. Character gotcha! Who am I gonna get? Bales.
Bay is... Good luck. Bay is just... She is a late game character with her special that charges relatively quickly.
Try to die, number of die turns the damage. Oh no, it's
yeah.
D&D all over again.
And she's a crit character as well. A bunch of her passives play into playing with a crit chance.
Oh, her special sounds like fun though.
Yeah. Just remove the cooldown from all weapon skills so they fire once every 0.1 seconds.
Maximum DACA.
Yeah, you just completely obliterate everything if you got good weapons. I've never had a successful Bales run.
Yeah, I need to keep unlocking stuff and powering up so I can get a couple of successful runs going. I'm getting close.
Yeah, you need to get Mume or Fauna. Mume or Fauna. Of course, you could always just get move speed and pick up range. That helps tremendously as well.
Pickup range is one of the best things you can put on one of these games.
It makes your early game so much easier.
Oh, yeah. Anywho, I think that might be everything we've got this week.
Yeah, that's everything I vomited in there, unless y'all got stuff else.
Not really.
I don't think I saw anything this week that I think is worth talking about.
We can go hunt some monsters.
We can go hunt some monsters.
So,
So, let's wrap it up.
That's enough waifus for one day.
All right, folks. No email topic of the week this week. Come up with something on your own. I'm too lazy. So, closing comments and let's get out of here.
Alright, I'm not sure how lively I'm going to be next week, but I'll try. We got one of our big Drunk Cowboy events on the week coming up.
Oh boy.
Not the biggest, but one of. I think this one's number 3.
Yeah, so many.
We do, because, yeah, every time there's a big something to commemorate, it's like, let's have a rodeo. Anywho.
I ain't got nothing. Watch G Gundam.
I think I will watch G Gundam, because it sounds ridiculously stupid.
It sounds incredible is what it sounds like, because it is.
Yeah. Incidentally, I'm actually just having a quick look at the plot for Hollow Cure, and it looks like everyone became everyone liked the VTubers, then other ones came along, and everyone became simps.
Well, what happened? Yeah, the dark force of simpery infected all the fans, and now
you need to save the fans from simpery.
That's a pretty good headcanon. You can roll with it.
Free the simps.
Well, you literally have to kill the shrimps, so
yeah.
Gura's fans are the shrimps.
Yeah, that tracks.
I was so disappointed when Fauna didn't name her fans only Fawns.
That might be a bit... no, never mind.
It carries too many unseemly implications.
Yeah, I was going to say it might be a bit unseemly, but considering some of the other things that these Hololive girls have been up to, I'm not sure if that's going to stop them.
They did have Coco.
They did have Coco.
See Asakoko item in game.
Didn't she join V Shoujo?
Yeah, she did. And the antis are in full force attacking V Shoujo now, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah,
Coco's been all over the place. She was on Trash Taste.
Yeah. Calliope's been on Trash Taste. Coco hasn't,
Twice.
I think.
No, Coco has.
Just not as Coco.
Yeah, she won his case on.
Yeah, that's right.
She got fired, remember? Well, no, she resigned. She graduated herself.
Yes.
Yeah, she graduated herself. And then you had Callie was on twice.
Callie was on twice. Callie's episodes are fun. She's kind of nuts.
Yeah. I love whenever they do the VTuber episodes because I get the mental image of the boys sitting around a ping pong ball on a stand.
Yeah. Well, that's what they use essentially.
Yeah, I know.
They do that sort of crossovers. Yeah, it's a ping pong ball or a tennis ball on a stick.
So they're having to do a podcast while emoting at a ping pong ball.
Yeah, talk to the ping pong ball.
They should just release the footage of no Callie and just put the ping pong ball there.
Yeah, I bet you actually it's a ball, and then someone would have drawn a smiley face or something on it.
It probably has 2 giant, bigger ping pong balls right in the middle of the stick.
It is Callie. So,
yes.
Anyway, lesson learned. Let's get out of here. Simping bad.
Yep. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Sayonara. Bye-bye.